house in Jerusalem this morning as hundreds of people gathered demanding that he make that deal soon. As of this morning, 101 hostages remain in Gaza. 36 are confirmed to be dead. And 28-year-old Idan Shtivi is one of those 36. His death was announced this morning, a full year after he was taken into Gaza.
That's Fox's Nate Foy in Tel Aviv, where sirens went off again today as Hamas fired more rockets from Gaza, where Palestinians say more than 40,000 people have been killed in the war. It's Nobel Prize week, and moments ago, 2 Americans were awarded the Nobel for Medicine, Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkin, for a discovery of so-called microRNA in gene activity, considered important understanding how organisms develop and function. America's listening to Fox News.
It's 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer on a Monday morning. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Caleb Williams, probably the best performance of his young career. Bears beat the Panthers 36-10 at Soldier Field.
They did a great job today. I told them that at the end of the game, that they did a great job in protection, the run game, and all of that. So it always starts with them and ends with them.
Rookie quarterback praising his offensive line after going 20 for 29, 304 yards, and 2 touchdowns, both to DJ Moore.
It was just another game, but I mean, it's the Panthers, so you can add whatever you want onto it, revenge game, anything like that. But it was really just a special game today to get us all going on offense.
The Bears have won back-to-back games and are 3-2 and will face Jacksonville Week 6 in London. An arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field after the Bears game Sunday afternoon. Chicago police say just after 6 p.m., a male of unknown age got into an argument with a 41-year-old man who pulled a knife and slashed the victim's shoulder and face. The victim taken to Northwestern Hospital in good condition. A 56-year-old man was struck by a car and killed riding his bike in Joliet in what police say was a hit and run over the weekend. It happened Sunday morning. Police responding to the 200 block of South Larkin Avenue, where the 56-year-old was found unresponsive. Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce today 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education.
So this is a transition moment for our Chicago Public Schools, and it's my responsibility to shepherd that transition.
The announcement comes after all members of the current board resigned on Friday, the resignations stemming from the mayor's push to try and remove Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez because he refused to take out a short-term, high-interest, payday-style loan just to fund a new Chicago Teachers Union contract. On Sunday, candidates running for the elected hybrid school board spoke out against the mayor's pressure tactics.
I think anytime that you create instability in our organizations, you're just creating instability for our children. And that's not fair, and it's not right. So I do not think that what he did was a good choice on Friday, and I'm very against it.
Also, candidate Ellen Rosenfeld says candidates need to be independent of City Hall and the CTU.
It's clear that Mayor Johnson will not wait for Chicagoans to place their vote for an elected school board. We must elect candidates who are independent of the mayor's office and special interest.
38 of 50 city council members signed a letter over the weekend demanding hearings this month before any appointments of new school board members. 5:05, authorities are investigating after skeletal remains were found in Chicago. State police say the discovery was made yesterday northbound on the Kennedy near Webster in an embankment on state property. With the racketeering and bribery trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan scheduled to begin tomorrow, Illinois lawmakers are recalling some of Madigan's scare tactics. Madigan and co-defendant Michael McLean are facing a 23-count indictment on racketeering and bribery. State Rep Kelly Cassidy said she was forced to resign from the Cook County Sheriff's Office in 2018 after she called for an investigation of sexual harassment allegations against a Madigan aide and ally.
My supervisor at the time came to me and said that the Speaker's Chief of Staff had called to see if I was still employed there and asked me if that was something that they did ordinarily. And I said no, and she said I didn't think so, and it seemed ominous.
State Representative Dave Severin says he was opposed to a Madigan lieutenant when he was first elected to the State House in 2016.
So they literally did everything they could to ruin my name, my business, our family name.
The 82-year-old Madigan served in the Illinois House from 1971 to 2021, Speaker for all but 2 years between 1983 and 2021. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. is endorsing Republican Bob Fioretti in the Cook County State's Attorney's race. The former Chicago alderman is set to face Democrat nominee Eileen O'Neill Burke in the November election. Chicago sports. Bulls continue to adjust their roster ahead of their first preseason game, signing free agent shooting guard Ben Coupet to a short-term deal. The NBA preseason continues tomorrow night when Chicago visits Cleveland. Blackhawks reduced their roster to 23 ahead of the opening of their regular NHL schedule. Brandon Baddock and Austin Strand were assigned to Rockford. Hawks visit Utah tomorrow night. Week 7 of the college football coaches poll. The Fighting Illini up 2 spots to number 23 in that poll. The Illini stay at number 23 in the Associated Press poll. The news service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com with that coupon code to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
5:10. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Progressive Insurance. Join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and look for a career you'll love with flexibility and great pay. Apply online today. Progressive.com/careers. Out there this morning, the toll roads are off on time, and the Adams-Reagan are doing good. Tri-State is off on time. No construction delays that we can see so far on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, north and southbound, and the expressways are running on time. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny skies for today. Our high 68. Clear tonight and a low 49. Sunny, pleasant day tomorrow. The high 72. And then sunny and pleasant on Wednesday. The high 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
53 at O'Hare. 53 Midway. 41 in Aurora. 49 in Waukegan. 47 Morris. 56 Lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. As the leader in identity theft protection, LifeLock reminds you to update your passwords. Using the same password across multiple accounts makes you vulnerable to cyber criminals. Updating your passwords is only one way to help protect yourself. For comprehensive identity theft protection, you need LifeLock. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
I'm Seth Leibson for Townhall.com. October 7th marks 1 year since the Hamas massacre in Israel, and we're hearing of marches to commemorate at several universities in the United States. Marches essentially to celebrate the atrocities, not mourn the victims, of October 7th. A professor at Oxford once said, quote, "The chief purpose of education is to know when someone is speaking rot," close quote. And there's an awful lot of rot being spoken today, especially at our universities. To appreciate the immorality of this, imagine a vigil on behalf of Al-Qaeda members on September 11th, 2002. This year has seen a lot of moral inversion. We saw college students all over the country rediscovering and promoting the purported wisdom of Osama bin Laden, and we've seen marches and encampments under the banners of terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. There ought to be no confusion. Today, we're mourning the victims and renewing our resolve to fight against the barbarism of Islamist terrorism. And today, we're stating clearly and unequivocally, we stand with Israel. I'm Seth Leibson.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home.
Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump, as we discussed on Friday, poised to make his triumphant return to Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday, which he did. And he picked up literally right where he left off from the last rally.
As I was saying, oh, I love that. I love that chart. I love that graph.
Right. Remember, this is the chart showing the surge of illegal immigration during the Biden administration that he turned his head to look at when the shot was fired that clipped his ear. Had he not turned his head, he probably wouldn't be with us. And so very, very nicely done by Trump to pick up where he left off and just put sort of a permanent marker down with respect to what happened on July 13th and, you know, what has been really minimized as best as they can by the D.C. press corps, but should be something that is top of mind as people go to the polls. Well, I would say November 5th, but as they're going to the polls now in many states and as they go between now and on November 5th.
Sorry. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can text us on that same line.
And, of course, the star guest was a very bouncy Elon Musk.
Well, yeah, he was mocking Tim Walz, how he is on the stage. I mean, clearly, if people didn't see that, like some people on social media thought something was wrong with him. It's like, no, he's doing what your vice presidential candidate's doing on the Democratic side.
Minus the jazz hands and the Rockettes kick. But Musk had a great comparison that he led off his brief talk with, the comparison between, well, Joe and Kamala and Trump.
You know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight. Blood coming down the face.
So, I mean, I'm just stating the obvious, but it's nice to have it memorialized by Elon Musk. And then his overriding message was just about the prediction he's made that we've discussed, which is if Trump doesn't win this election, this is the last real election America will have. I'm not so sure I'm on board with that completely, but he definitely has the threat posed by the left nailed down.
This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment.
Talk about a guy who's been red-pilled, Elon Musk. Ian in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, it's Ian. I just wanted to do a quick quip here. Donald Trump just showed what Kamala Harris has been talking about. He was unburdened by what has been.
Well done. Thank you, Ian. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey. Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thank you for taking my call. You know, the left, if the two assassination attempts that occurred, you would, all the way from the first one, now and through the election, it would have been so, publicized and in such a huge way. It's unbelievable. So anybody who's got any doubts about how rotten and corrupt this media is, if it wasn't for Trump with his rallies and that, to be able to mention and remind people just how bad the left is, they're already to the point of assassinating him to make sure that he can't be president. It makes it so obvious. I just want people to realize and stop and think, and that's probably why part of why Elon Musk, he realizes just how desperate the left is with regard to if they're willing to kind of like allow an assassination attempt in that and be real sloppy with protecting them. You know darn well cheating and doing all the stuff that they want to do to keep Trump out of the White House, there's nothing they won't do.
Thanks for the call, Craig.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I mean, of course, President Trump delivered, a beautiful eulogy to Corey. He thanked his family. His wife and his daughters were there, and they were there the day that he was at
Corey Comparatori.
Corey Comparatori, sorry. He was murdered, so he thanked them. And they stood up, and they had a bunch of family and friends there. But I love the paramedic from Butler Memorial Hospital who took care of Trump after he was shot. She got up there and spoke and just reminded people that there's a different side to this man.
The man that we all see on TV with the strong personality who sometimes doesn't mince for words or who is seen as a wealthy, powerful businessman was not the man that I stood beside that evening. What I saw was a man that in the aftermath of one of the most terrifying experiences of his life showed resiliency. He showed strength and courage. He showed that his family was at the forefront. He was a husband, a father, and a grandfather. He was compassionate and grateful. He was kind and humble. Several times I stood and stared at him with tears rolling down my cheeks. He was someone's dad. He's a human just like you and me. I held the hand of that man who sends out the mean tweets, and I thanked him for loving our country and fighting for our freedoms. He assured me that he is doing everything he can to save our country, and I believe this to be true now more than ever. So as I circle back and wrap this up, I talk about healthcare and EMS being my calling. When I look back to the date of July 13th, I see our first responders and our soon-to-be 47th president who are doing just that, answering their calling. Events of this magnitude present unique challenges, yet the first responders and President Trump handled them with skill, grace, and determination.
I thought that was a nice, wrap up of that day.
So have the Kamala supporters, these new Bolsheviks and their apologists, have they stopped perpetuating these conspiracy theories that this was a Trump setup, that he wasn't really shot, that he orchestrated the whole thing? You heard those.
Yeah.
Part of not forgetting what happened on July 13th, as well as the foiled attempt at his golf course in West Palm, is to remember how the left reacted to them. Because it tells you a lot about who they are, and it tells you a lot about what they're poised to do or willing to tolerate or even inclined to cheerlead. And, that's a real important piece of information to consider and to discuss to inform people's vote come November 5.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates 0.5 point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gabe Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
AM 560, The Answer.
Real quick, got a text message, Dan. Don't laugh at kids that believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus because there's adults who believe in Kamala Harris. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, updating the emergency response to the devastation inflicted by Hurricane Helene. Well, while most of the country is focused on that, most right-thinking people, at least Kamala's having a girl confab with talking about tampons on the podcast. We'll compare and contrast at 5:38.
And then later, an entire new school board announced today. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:31. Both former President Trump and Vice President Harris are set to speak today on the one-year anniversary of the Hamas terror attacks on Israel. 1 year following the deadly Hamas attacks, protests are cropping up in many cities.
Since last October 7th, protests related to the Israel-Hamas conflict have broken out on college campuses and in many cities. In New York City, home to the largest Jewish population outside Israel, NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry said last week demonstrations are anticipated.
We support their right to express their First Amendment and lift their voices. But again, we will not tolerate any criminal activity. No destruction of property, no harming innocent people.
Mayor Eric Adams said there will also be zero tolerance for impeding traffic and emergency responders, as well as the places people work and worship. In New York City, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Former President Trump set to speak at a remembrance event taking place at his golf course in Florida. President Biden will mark the anniversary with an event at the White House. A rocket attack from Lebanon leaving destruction in the Israeli port city of Haifa. A restaurant was hit, causing multiple injuries. Dubai's Emirates airline banning walkie-talkies and pagers on flights this morning. The airline also announced that flights to and from Beirut, Lebanon, Lebanon's capital, will be canceled until October 15. FEMA's administrator says the agency is ready for the hurricane expected to slam Florida this week. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan warns could be dangerous for a wide swath of land.
We are expecting Milton to be a hurricane as it moves across the state of Florida, bringing the potential for hurricane impacts across interior portions of the state, including risk along the I-4 corridor over to the Daytona Beach, Cape Canaveral area. Also the potential for some life-threatening storm surge inundation along the Florida East Coast as well.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has already declared a state of emergency.
Current estimates are that it has the potential to be a major hurricane when it makes landfall in the middle of the week. Yesterday, I signed executive order declaring a state of emergency. We had 34 counties. We now have expanded that in light of the forecast to 51 counties.
Milton is expected to arrive as plenty of residents are still cleaning up after Helene. SpaceX and T-Mobile were allowed by the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to enable Starlink satellites Sunday with direct-to-cell capability. It was done to try and provide more advanced coverage for cell phones in areas of North Carolina still devastated by Helene. Caleb Williams had the best performance of his young career. Bears beat Carolina 36-10 at Soldier Field.
They did a great job today. I told them that at the end of the game, that they did a great job in protection, the run game, and all of that. So it always starts with them and ends with them.
Bears have won back-to-back games, 3-2 now. They take on Jacksonville Week 6 in London. Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education as soon as today.
So this is a transition moment for our Chicago Public Schools, and it's my responsibility to shepherd that transition.
The announcement comes only after all members of the current board resigned on Friday. The resignations stem from the mayor's push to try and remove Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez because he refused to take out a short-term, high-interest payday-style loan to pay for a new Chicago Teachers Union contract. Meantime, candidate forums were held Sunday for the elected hybrid school board. Candidate Ellen Rosenfield saying candidates need to be independent of City Hall and the CTU.
It's clear that Mayor Johnson will not wait for Chicagoans to place their vote for an elected school board. We must elect candidates who are independent of the mayor's office and special interests.
38 of 50 city council members signed a letter over the weekend demanding hearings this month before any appointments of new school board members. Chicago sports, Bulls adjusting their roster ahead of their first preseason game, signing free agent shooting guard Ben Cupid. Blackhawks reduced their roster ahead of the opening NHL schedule. Hawks visit Utah tomorrow night. The news, a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago to save 35%. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated Windows and Doors.
Attention, anyone with high blood pressure.
If you want to seriously control your blood pressure and not be a walking time bomb,
Order 120 Life today.
120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure. It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
With ingredients that have shown to naturally help control blood pressure, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life.
Try it for yourself, risk-free, with a 2-week trial pack.
Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
You know, the big wireless companies want you to overpay for data that you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that with Pure Talk. Well, you get to choose how much data that you actually want. And for $25 a month, you'll get unlimited talk, unlimited text. You're going to get mobile hotspot, 5 gigs of data. Go with Pure Talk, and you get to choose how much data you actually want. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and if you do it now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month from Pure Talk.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. As the leader in identity theft protection, LifeLock reminds you to update your passwords. Using the same password across multiple accounts makes you vulnerable to cyber criminals. Updating your passwords is only one way to help protect yourself. For comprehensive identity theft protection, you need LifeLock. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
5:39, let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecas.com. Kennedy, right now at 25 minutes and climbing O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, multiple vehicles involved in an accident reported inbound at Cicero. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunshine in 68 today, clear, 49 overnight. 53 at O'Hare, 45 in Kankakee, 50 in Lansing. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, digging into the disaster relief response from the federal government. We know what private actors are doing. There's a lot of good efforts being undertaken by private actors, including Congressman Corey Mills, that is. Not only was he down talking to FEMA workers, the ones they could find, hard to find.
Yeah, they are hard to find.
Probably even more difficult to find for residents who have been displaced. But Mills was down there talking to FEMA workers who basically just got there. This was in the last 48 hours, so they're a week late. You talk to one guy who's like, a forthright, matter-of-fact federal employee telling Corey Mills and Glenn Beck what they're doing, what they're trying to do. And then he asks, people can't access this mobile unit you have set up. They can't they can't get in queue for the relief that you have, for the goods that you have, because they don't have internet. They don't have power.
Yeah.
So they don't know where you are. They don't know that you're here. They don't know I'm standing here talking to you. And then he talked to a superior. The guy says, well, that's above my pay grade. We're supposed to go door to door and reach out to people, address to address. And then they talked to a superior of the underling they were speaking with. And the superior says, yeah, well, we may not go quite door to door. So just that interaction alone breeds skepticism about the quality of the response. But Corey Mills, Congressman Mills, went on with Martha McCallum to talk about it as well. He talked more generally than this extended conversation that Glenn Beck posted between him, Mills, and FEMA workers.
Let's go ahead and point out the obvious, which is that FEMA had utilized a large majority of the personnel who should be here taking care of this to be replaced or repurposed, if you will, for immigration resettlement, when we need to be focusing on Americans and what's going on, whether it be in Maui, Palestine, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, or Tennessee. But I'm actually working with great organizations like Mercury One, charity for Glenn Beck, Universal Air, as well as for Sentinel Foundation and so many others. This is a group project where Americans are coming together to answer the call for Americans when the federal government fails to act.
It seems that there's two issues. One is the issue of the money spent on migrants and the personnel that apparently is still repurposed for migrant resettlement rather than for emergency response to help American citizens in desperate straits. That's one issue. And then there's the larger issue of the culture within FEMA. Like we talk about the culture in these other federal agencies that have been spectacular failures or spectacularly politicized to the extent that they no longer represent the mission that they state they represent. So on the personnel side, and then we'll get to culture. First of all, the federal government is just lying to us again. Starting with, I should say, the White House spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre. She is charged with lying on behalf of the administration. Here's what she said last week about this, when this story broke, that $1.4 billion of FEMA aid over the last 2 fiscal years has been spent on people in this country illegally. Here's what she said.
It's just categorically false. No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the other day. And then what happened in September of 2022?
Right. She was outlining before that very same press corps the following.
So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
So
that's a little bit of a problem.
Well, this is the classic case of when you lie so much, it's difficult to remember the lies you previously told when your interests change and you have to update your position on the same issue. This is so well documented. Washington Examiner reporting the Biden administration has spent tens of billions helping to ease the pain caused by what they term the illegal migration invasion. I would call it invitation. But anyway, drop shipping money to local governments, in addition to what KJP was talking about back in September of 2022. Local governments are required to provide education to all children, so the DOE provides local governments help to pay to educate all the kids that are in places like Springfield, Ohio, and Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Hospitals must provide emergency care even to illegal immigrants without health insurance. So HHS helps local hospitals stay afloat by reimbursing them through Medicaid. And we've talked about this in Illinois. We know just last year, or within the last year, the state of Illinois is into the billions of dollars with respect to the provision of health care for people in this country illegally. Now, again, nobody wants to deny anyone in need of immediate health care, especially when they're here. Well, there's contributory fault. I mean, they're here because they chose to come here illegally. They're also here because they were invited to come here and rather than turned away.
Yeah, but regardless, they're taking care of them before they're taking care of American citizens.
Yeah, that's right.
Who are hurting. And people like Tammy Holbrooks. This is ABC News, folks, yesterday.
Where's the help? There's people up there with no food, no water, no power, no internet, no signals, elderly people.
Tammy Holbrook's a neighbor, but she went on ABC News because she goes up and down the mountain helping people because they have no food, they have no internet, just exactly what she said. And this is almost a week later after the storm. What the hell? And then over the weekend, they announced $157 million of additional assistance to Lebanon. Kamala Harris said, I'm very concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon. And whatever. What about the suffering that's going on with your own American citizens?
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition. I mean, it's a snapshot, but I mean, it shows. It shows, not just the tone deafness. It's because I don't think it's tone deafness. I think it's just general indifference. That's what I think.
They're white people. They don't care. Poor white people. That's why they don't care.
Well, they care about the honky leftists in Asheville. Because Asheville's a little blue dot in that spot.
Very artsy.
But Axelrod is pretty confident they're going to come out, and the Trump voters won't. So they're not that broken up about it.
And there's a lot of displacement in western North Carolina. Now, Asheville is a blue dot in that area, but there are a lot of Republican voters
Asheville's
there.
key.
But those voters in Asheville are they're the kind of voters who will figure out a way to vote. They're upscale, kind of liberal voters, and they're probably going to figure out a way to vote. I'm not sure a bunch of these folks who've had their homes and lives destroyed elsewhere in western North Carolina in the mountains there are going to be as easy to wrangle for the Trump campaign.
Wrangle. Those, the mountain folk.
Poor white folks.
The hills have eyes contingent there, the hoi polloi up in the mountains. They're inbred crackers who are barely illiterate, so they probably won't make their way to the polls. But lest you be concerned, our leftist friends in Asheville, those with fashionable opinions like you find in metropolitan suburbs, they'll be there. So, hey, David Axelrod, I'm sure, professional liar David Axelrod, Red Diaper Baby David Axelrod, I'm sure he would say, look, I'm just giving you an analysis of the landscape. I certainly want everybody to vote. I certainly want everybody to exercise a franchise. You would get all the qualifications. But if you can just read through the qualifications briefly, you find the disdain that I'm talking about, which is emblematic of the federal government's response to people like those folks who are more likely to vote for Trump, who live in the hills, according to David Axelrod.
These people, and Colin Rugg, if you follow him on Twitter, you should. He put a montage together of people who are still living out of their cars that don't have IDs. They can't vote. They don't have IDs. They don't even have a house.
We can't get you a phone. I have no ID. I have no way to pay for food. He has no way to get gas. We're stuck. So we have to sleep in a car that's leaking with the same clothes we've had on since the...
It goes on, but it's so sad to watch this and to see American citizens struggling. And thank God for the churches and Salvation Army and Red Cross and other groups.
No. Not Red Cross. No.
Red Cross is not there.
Let's update our understanding of some of these charities. Some of the ones that Corey Mills talked about. Let's learn something, not just about our federal government, but about some of these charities. Talk to anybody in Mississippi about the Red Cross. I'm talking about Katrina era. Talk to anybody who knows about the Red Cross. The Red Cross uses these disasters to fundraise. But if you look at the books, the spend isn't there. There's this massive relief charity that mainly fundraises off of disasters and doesn't provide the resources commensurate with passing through. It's like, Food for the Poor, 90% plus of every dollar raised goes directly to the beneficiaries in charity we're familiar with, and talking about actually serving countries like Haiti and the poorest places on the planet. That's not what some of these charities do. So make sure you don't buy who's ever got the bandwidth to advertise on air, whoever has the most brand equity, sort of the names that come immediately top of mind. Make sure you look at who's actually doing the best work and providing maximum return for your charitable dollar, because the Red Cross is not one of them. The contrast, however, between the treatment of people in distress in North Carolina, Tennessee, and elsewhere, and the financing that's ongoing for people in this country illegally. Savannah Hernandez, who's reports for Frontlines, I guess like a program, if you will, Frontlines for Turning Point. She does a pretty good job. She's a spunky little reporter. She was in New Brunswick, Maine, bringing us the treatment of people in this country illegally in New Brunswick, Maine, and just exactly what they're getting paid for. Must be nice, because it's a pretty nice setup they have up there.
How much is rent here?
Free. 2 years.
After 2 years, we have to pay the rent.
All right, y'all, this is Savannah Hernandez in Brunswick, Maine, reporting to you from the apartments where migrants are getting their rent paid for up to 2 years. Now, I wanted to give you guys a first inside look at these units. The migrants shared with us that they come furnished, so they have a flat screen TV in there, couches, tables and chairs, a bed. We also asked them as well, hey, are you paying utilities here? They shared with us that nope, they do not have a water bill, they do not have an electricity bill.
And what about the light and the water?
Everything is good. We don't pay anything.
Now, I wanted to focus in on this area of Maine because there is a housing crisis going on currently for residents, and these buildings were initially created for Maine residents, but then it was decided that homeless migrants would be living here. Now, as an American, you can rent out one of these units, but a 1-bedroom is going to run you about $1,800, and a 2-bedroom is going to run you about $2,300. By the way, the average housing price for a house over here in Brunswick is about $480,000.
It's pretty nice. $50,000 in free rent for a 1-bedroom over 2 years for people in this country illegally, in addition to paying the utility bills. And I imagine there are other benefits available if you want to make your way up to Brunswick, Maine. So compare and contrast in this moment with what you're hearing out of the Southeast versus what Savannah Hernandez is documenting in the Northeast. Georgia, Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, to help the hurricane victims, do you think they could dip into the funds allotted for sex changes? I'm sure they're flush with cash.
Thanks for the call, George. I'm not so sure, actually. There's a lot more of that action happening these days. The culture piece of it, just briefly, what FEMA has become, what all these federal agencies have become to varying degrees. It's a bureaucracy in service of the identitarian ideology, not in service of Americans. The clips that are bouncing around the interweb. The focus? Listen to this dude or chick. I don't know. This is the FEMA Director of Education Training, part of the Pride Federal Employee Resource Group. This woman, question mark, named Riley Hurst, who is a dead ringer for Buddy Hackett, on the things that are the most concerning to her.
As Leo mentioned, there were those conversations, not only with migrant trans women. Being a migrant trans woman, there is an undocumented concern. There is also a concern of whether they would trust the places that are offering shelter that are faith-based because of the way they've been responded to in the past. Then if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, et cetera. And then in addition,
the
this is a thing.
Director of Education and Training is concerned about misgendering migrant trans women in taxpayer-funded shelters, not providing taxpayer-funded shelter to Americans. I mean, I don't know if I could sum up the culture any better, but it's actually even more helpful. There was a couple of clips from Zoom calls involving FEMA apparatchiks that were going around. And they say it in no uncertain terms, just so there's no confusion. We have to focus on equity.
Sparked a few things in my mind, thinking about preparedness and how you said, LGBTQIA people and people who have been disadvantaged already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So you add a disaster on top of that. It's just compounding on itself. And I think that is maybe the why of why we're having these discussions, is because it isn't being talked about. It isn't being socialized. We're not paying attention to this community. Thank you so much. Maggie.
Thank you. There are a couple of things that are intersecting in my mind here. One of them is the culture of emergency management as an organization, as an industry in the United States specifically, not abroad. This has, and my cat sometimes does this, she gets really loud.
Please don't eat
so
the
you'll
cat.
have to just allow for the little meowing in the background.
Why would you do that?
The shift that we're seeing right now is a shift in emergency management from utilitarian principles where everything is designed for the greatest good for the greatest amount of people to disaster equity. But we have to do more.
That's it right there. Doing the greatest good for the greatest amount of people? No. Providing aid and support for whoever you can provide aid and support for? No. You have to focus on identity. So we're going to have to pass up the what we believe is a heterosexual honky in favor of searching for a member of the LGBTQIA++ community. This is actually the attitude. And by the way, it's been adopted by Kamala Harris, too. She's said as much. Disaster relief should be distributed based with an eye towards equity.
Yep.
This is the rot in all of these agencies. And now we're seeing it play out yet again with deadly consequences.
And now they're blaming disinformation on social media that, FEMA's had to defend themselves on with George Stephanopoulos saying, oh, this is all trumped up. We are here on the ground. We're doing the work, and that this is all a lie. Even Governor Roy Cooper put out that, relentless vortex of disinformation dialed up by bad actors.
Yeah, well, it's FEMA in their own words. So I guess we're not supposed to believe FEMA when they talk freely and openly in a collegial setting like a Zoom call. I think we should believe them.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Should we care about the Chicago Public School Board at 6:06?
Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Skeletal remains found along the Kennedy Expressway. WIND Chicago news time, 6.
It's been 1 year. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Since the Hamas terror attack in Israel that triggered the war in Gaza.
There are 7 Americans still being held, including my son.
Yahya Alexander at a demonstration in New York City demanding a ceasefire deal to bring hostages home. There are still 101 of them held in Gaza, though Israel says 36 of them are dead and confirming another one this morning who died.
Here we are a full year later.
on October 7th and the threat from Hamas in Gaza into southern Israel and also here in central Israel continues.
Fox's Nate Foy in Tel Aviv, where sirens have wailed, warning of more Hamas rocket attacks in Gaza today, where the war rages. Palestinians say more than 40,000 people have died in the conflict.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, an Israeli airstrike hit a Hezbollah weapons facility overnight. The ground offensive also continues in southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah continues firing rockets and projectiles into northern Israel.
Vice President Harris's Democratic running mate Tim Walz tells Fox News Sunday they stand with Israel.
It's Iran is at the heart of this, and their proxies that bring disruption throughout the region.
Former President Trump maintains if he's not elected, Israel could be destroyed, and he said at a rally in Wisconsin,
"We're all going to win together. It's going to be the greatest win in the history of our country. I believe that."
They're prepping for another hurricane on Florida's Gulf Coast. Milton, already a Category 2 storm and forecast to get a lot stronger before a midweek hit.
There will be voluntary and mandatory evacuations in effect in a number of communities throughout the state of Florida.
As Governor Ron DeSantis says salvage and recovery and search and rescue continue after Hurricane Helene hit. Western North Carolina remains devastated. President Biden has sent hundreds more active duty troops to help FEMA and the National Guard, but Republicans are critical of the storm response. Senator Ted Budd tells Fox,
"It was too slow from the Biden and the governor, and we needed rapid response."
At least 230 deaths confirmed. America's listening to Fox News.
50 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Caleb Williams, one of the better performances of his young career. Bears beat the Panthers 36-10 at Soldier Field. DJ Moore, 5 receptions, 105 yards, catching both of Caleb Williams' touchdown throws.
I mean, it's the Panthers, so you can add whatever you want onto it, revenge game, anything like that. But it was really just a special game today to get us all going on offense.
Meantime, after the game, an arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field. After the Bears game, it happened around 6 p.m. A victim with a left shoulder and face wound was taken to Northwestern Hospital in good condition. A 56-year-old man was struck by a car and killed riding his bike in Joliet overnight in what police say was a hit and run. Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce today 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education.
So this is a transition moment for our Chicago Public Schools, and it's my responsibility to shepherd that transition.
On Sunday, candidates running for the elected hybrid school board spoke out against the mayor's pressure tactics.
I think anytime that you create instability in our organizations, you're just creating instability for our children. And that's not fair, and it's not right. So I do not think that what he did was a good choice on Friday, and I'm very against it.
Authorities are investigating after skeletal remains were found in Chicago. State police say the discovery was made yesterday northbound Kennedy near Webster. It's not known if the remains belong to a human or not. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. making an endorsement in the Cook County State's Attorney's race, endorsing Republican Bob Fioretti. Jackson saying Fioretti has championed our community as an advocate and civil rights lawyer. The Bulls continue to adjust their roster ahead of the first preseason game, signing free agent shooting guard Ben Cupid to a short-term deal, while the Blackhawks reduce their roster to 23 ahead of the opening of the regular NHL schedule. Hawks visit Utah this week. 6:04 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, Trinity School of Natural Health, and by Blue Star Security. Few understand the impact this election may have on their retirement savings. In less than 30 days, our entire economy could face a monumental shift that could destroy a huge amount of value many Americans have stored in their 401ks or IRAs. In times like these, the most trusted store of wealth in human history stands out: physical gold and silver. Many Americans have looked to True Gold Republic for help. They specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other retirement accounts convert their stocks and bonds into physical gold and silver to protect their hard-earned savings. True Gold is offering listeners a free copy of their Election Gold Protection Kit today. To claim yours, call 800-300-GOLD. This information is free and might very well save your comfortable retirement. By acting before the election, you can still make a tax and penalty-free conversion with the help of True Gold's award-winning team. Call 800-300-GOLD. That's 800-300-GOLD. True Gold Republic is not a financial advisor. Consult with your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-300-GOLD.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, oh, try it.
You know, Balance of Nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist, so anything that's natural I like, and so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home at 708-828-0000. The Edens building already this morning inbound, 20 minutes from Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at 30 minutes and rising from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan Express lanes already slow inbound between Pershing and 31st. DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound on the brakes. Hyde Park Boulevard up through 47. Traffic, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine today, the high at 68. It'll be clear tonight, low 49. Pleasant day tomorrow, lots of sun, the high at 72. And then sunny and pleasant Wednesday, high Wednesday afternoon, 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare, next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Is this BLM Brandon soda pop tax? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. The mass resignation of the Chicago Public Schools School Board on Friday, and now the coming appointment of a new school board by BLM Brandon with the election of new school board members a month in the offing. This is this has the city council sending a letter and people clutching their pearls. And so is this the thing that ends BLM Brandon's mayoralty effectively, even though he could, still serve out as a lame duck for the next 2+ years? 312-642-5600.
You can also text message us on that line. Yeah, I mean, this is a complete dictatorship. I was shocked when I read the news on Friday that all 7 are gone. And I kept thinking, did they resign in protest or were they forced out? And a number of messages have been left for board members. Nobody's talking to anybody in the media.
How is it different than previous mayors? I actually appreciate that we don't have to indulge the facade, the fantasy of the facade that CPS is a separate taxing body. We talked about this with Cass on Friday. CPS is a tax that you'll have to talk to CPS. The fifth floor doesn't have anything to do with that. No, of course, the mayor appoints. And so they resigned. He appoints. 36 of 50 city council members are aghast. Some legislators in Springfield are talking about a move to require that mayoral appointments be confirmed by the city council. And all the machinations are to what end?
Yeah, I mean, he did that, or they resigned or were forced out because Pedro Martinez refused to get that short-term $300 million high-interest loan, and he wants him gone. And this administration will stop. If they want you out of the way, they will get you the hell out of the way.
And so how is that any different than any previous administration?
I can't remember in my time when they got rid of
what CPS superintendent did not serve at the pleasure of the mayor? Which one?
No, I'm saying I can't remember in my time when they just eliminated an entire board.
Well, they didn't eliminate it. They resigned.
Well, yeah. Is that ever? Have you ever, in your time here in Chicago, have you ever seen that happen?
No, it's not happened before, but so what? So what's the big deal? Because it hasn't happened, we're supposed to make a big deal about it, but I want to know why it's a big deal. To what end?
Because he's a dictator.
I'm sorry.
He wants Pedro Martinez gone. He'll do everything he can in his power, which he is executing what he can in his power.
Let me try the question again and broaden it to the listening audience. How is this any different than any other? Brandon Johnson's a dictator in a way that the Lori Lightfoot or Rahm Emanuel or Daley or Old Man Daley were not? Well, please compare and contrast for me.
Well, they weren't CTU union members. Brandon Johnson is.
And under which mayor, since you won't answer the question, maybe somebody else will, under which mayor did the CPS superintendent or CPS CEO, whatever you want to call it, the CPS Soviet in charge, under which mayor did they not serve at the mayor's pleasure effectively? Who pushed Brizard out?
Oh, that's
So
right.
what is new here?
Forgot about him.
Yeah, of course.
It was such a hot moment with
the
him.
history we don't know. I mean, the point is,
quick appointment.
312-642-5600. Tell me why I am supposed to get worked up about this? Because the Chicago Press Corps is? Because some alderhumans are? So what? This is a phony issue. What was this board doing? This board that resigned, resigned so heroically in solidarity and protest of the mayor. What was this board doing? They're presiding over one of the worst government school systems in the country. And so is Pedro Martinez. And they haven't been there for 5 minutes. What have they done that's so wonderful for the school? Because they won't do a payday loan for the to give Stacey Davis Gates her $50 billion and 3 cents. Because they won't do a payday loan. They're the heroes of this story. Boy, talk about dumbing down the definition of hero in Chicago politics, even more than it's been dumbed down previously. And so this Soviet board gets replaced by a new Soviet board with a new Soviet board by BLM Brandon.
The announcement will be made at a church today.
Until they wait for a new Soviet board to be elected on November 5th. And what changes in CPS? Who is bringing the change to CPS? Any of these school boards? Any of these superintendents? Any of these alderhumans?
No, they don't care.
So, I mean,
I think taxpayers are
so
like
phony.
$300 million, and to pay that back is going to be what? High interest rate, $700 million.
So what? And so
there's nothing's off the table. That's what he said last Friday. That there's a property taxes might increase.
Why do you talk about this? It's baffling. You talk about this like this is something serious that's supposed to be taken at face value. Like there's some serious negotiation on. These are serious moves that are happening. This is a serious crisis that has been instigated. This is a serious election that is to be held on November 5th. I'm talking about for school board members. What? Should any of this be taken seriously?
I know
None of it.
Parents are kind of waking up, or are they? Just listen.
It's shocking. We're all, I guess, going to have to find out what comes out in the wash regarding this. I would love to know what was said behind closed doors.
What's your message for city and CPS leaders?
Get it together.
Oh my gosh, honestly. And what is that supposed to signify? Because the press is outraged, they're going to go out and find people to reflect their outrage back at them. Get it together. I'd love to know what. Okay, here's what could possibly have been said behind closed doors that would make any difference to you, that woman on the street or the get it together guy. I mean, does anybody have the capacity in the city to just put it between people's eyes? No. The answer is no. They don't. Not a single person.
Here's one of the aldermen who signed that letter.
Right now, we have an administration that is hell-bent on making sure that they're satisfying their number one campaign contributor.
Yeah,
Gil Villegas?
Yeah. Gilbert Villegas is one of the 36 who signed the letter.
And so, what's your commentary on Gil Villegas?
I'm just saying that people who normally, he doesn't have the support of all the aldermen. When was the last time that...
Yeah, I know. 36 of 50 signed a letter. So what?
Is that going to make a difference? Is this going to be the soda tax moment?
Make a difference how? Is there a popular revolt going on that I'm unaware of? Are people sharing some sort of information about this like they shared their receipts during the soda tax revolt? Is BLM Brandon having some, crisis comms meeting the way that Tony Preckwinkle did to deal with the revolt and potential political fallout? No, you just announced he's going to present himself as a godly man at a church today and introduce the new Politburo to lord over the Chicago Public Schools. And
they're all aligned with his progressive agenda. He's going to handpick people.
Who in the city isn't?
Yeah.
What was the last school board? Honestly. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for getting to me. Question for you. I listen to you because I get educated on the issues. So maybe you can educate me. I'm one of your oldest listeners. I went to CPS in the 50s and early 60s. That's when the schools were good. At least I think so. What changed?
What do you think changed, Bob? I mean, a lot's changed since the 50s, but what if you had to put if you had to put your finger on one topic area, what do you think is completely different about the 1950s and going to CPS than today?
One of the things was parental involvement.
There it is, family. That's it.
Family. My mother was on the PTA.
That's family.
Family structure.
Family. That's it. Family. Thanks for the call, Bob. Family. 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 Engagement.
And what's causing the destruction of the family?
Focused on educational outcomes. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you have all of these contretemps between the political titans in the city, the parents come out and protest with the teachers union, with these communist apparatchiks. They protest with the teachers union against school choice for their kids. And not to mention, I mean, talk, as I mentioned in passing, talk to anybody who's coached in CPS. Talk to people that will tell you the truth about what's going on in CPS. First of all, why do half CPS teachers send their kids to private school?
I think it's more than half.
Including Stacey Davis Gates. Numbers, that's probably an old number. Yeah, it's probably more. They can certainly afford it now, and they'll be really able to afford it in after this next contract. And the disorganization. They don't field teams. I mean, most of these schools, a lot of these schools.
They don't have the population anymore. It's so crazy.
To the extent they field teams, talk to coaches, parents aren't involved. Then people don't show up on time. The transportation is a cluster.
Oh, that's a total.
I mean,
total cluster.
I said it on Friday, a $10 billion enterprise. And they can't do a gosh darn thing right for the families and the kids they are allegedly tasked to serve. I've said it many times before. If you shut down CPS tomorrow, took the $10 billion, I mean, did nothing with it, you would have at least the same or better test scores. Why? Because the families that care about their kids' education are going to find a way to get their kids educated. Now, if you turn $10 billion into a scholarship fund and distribute it on a per capita basis, now we're starting to cook with fire.
30,000 a student. I mean, think you can go to DePaul Prep, you can go to St. Ignatius, you can go anywhere. 30,000 a year.
What's the priority? Johnson's statement on Friday. Together, Mayor Johnson and the board fulfilled many objectives of the Johnson administration's vision for Chicago's public schools, including shifting away from inequitable student-based budgeting, not to mention grading, completing the change to a school safety model that does not rely on school resource officers, and focusing on black student success. Not student success, black student success. Well, they're failing on student success, and they're really failing on black student success. But not to hear them tell it.
They think everything's fine.
Fulfilled many objectives of the BLM branded administration. Of course they have. And this change in the school board will be the classic ripped from The Boss, Kelsey Grammer, from Kelsey Grammer and The Boss, plays Mayor of Chicago. The great line, whoever wrote that really knew Chicago. The signature line about how Chicago politics works. And it works unbelievably well. Just listen to people who repeat these stories and what's going on like we're supposed to take them seriously, who are get duped every single time as the same scam is run over and over again at their expense and the expense of their kids. What's the line? Change on the outside to protect continuity on the inside. The appearance of change. Put a new coat of paint on it, put a new name in a new post, and we'll call it change. This administration is very proud of the goals it's achieved, but there's more work to do. Of course, there always is.
And we're doing the work.
Ron, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, I have to agree with you that there's no comparison with the whole soda tax. Amy, I know you said there were 36 all. I don't care if it was 50. It means nothing.
Yep.
And as far as the soda tax situation, I know because I was personally involved. I spoke before the finance committee against it. And see, because I thought we had a chance. I wouldn't waste a minute of my time with this. But again, and you all know from the beginning, I said he was the worst. And there was a lot of garbage running from here, but he was the worst. He's a blithering idiot. And guess what? This is what the city is getting. You all have a great day.
Thanks, Ron.
The city voted for it. You idiots voted for him. I mean, this was a former teacher who did not give homework assignments or tests and bragged about it.
Yeah.
And did his 4 years just to put on his resume that he was a CPS teacher.
Kevin, the Irish PM out of Ogden Dunes, Indiana.
I will lay it all out for you people. First of all, there was a good Irishman named Daniel Patrick Moynihan who wrote all about what would happen.
Yeah, right.
Secondly, well, you know about that then. Secondly, you had Irish matrons teaching on the south side of Chicago in the 40s and the 50s, and these ladies would rap the knuckles of the boys who didn't do their studies. And the kids on the south side and in lesser neighborhoods did just fine. They would learn their lessons. They were smart people functioning in society, as Thomas Sowell spoke of. In the Johnson administration, they pushed through legislation that brought in the requirement of diversity for teachers, and things started to go downhill. The Irish matrons were driven out of teaching. The Irish matrons were stopped from rapping the knuckles when Dan Proft didn't do his studies. And then you have the rise of the welfare state that Patrick Moynihan talked about, and you have the fathers no longer involved in the kids' lives to the degree they were in the 40s and 50s. That's the whole Megillah.
Yeah, I mean, the Moynihan report was 65. I mean, I agree. It's family, but family and the family relationship with teachers such that the discipline in school was consistent with the discipline at home and one backed the other. None of that is the case today. But I mean, it all starts with the family. And the other thing is, by the way, all those Irish matrons that PM was talking about. I mean, the whole community threw in with the government. They threw in with the government. The whole attitude is government-centric. It's the repository for our jobs and for our pensions. And so he went along with the whole Democrat socialist playbook, and by extension, that party. And even as that party drifted further and further away from who its membership was, they stayed until relatively recently, until really Trump, I would say. A little bit during Reagan, but perhaps the clean break during Trump. They stayed. They stayed because there was money in it, and that's what the new Bolsheviks understood. That's what they've understood for hundreds of years, which is destroy the family, insinuate the government in lieu of the family, bribe enough people with their own money, and you basically get control of all of the institutions of civic life and, by extension, society. And that's what big city America is. That's what Chicago is. It's a company town, and the company is government. Michael, South Side.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. Thank you both for taking my call. There's one aspect about this whole CPS situation that's really repugnant. The black community is adversely affected by the way the public school system is managed, and yet it's the black community that gave away nearly 3/4 of his vote to Brandon Johnson in the last election. And furthermore, the black politicians who supported his opponent, Paul Vallas, got blasted in the black community. And this is what we have to show for giving Brandon Johnson our vote. Pathetic.
Thanks for the call, Michael.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, with some very exciting news. Remember, my gold sneakers, they went like crazy. Everybody's talking about them. They're still talking about them. People went wild for them, and that's good. They sold out in a matter of hours. So get my new Trump sneakers and don't miss out.
Hey, everyone. Yes, you heard that right. President Donald J. Trump has released a limited number of gold low-top sneakers. These Trump sneakers won't last long. Don't miss out like last time. Don't get shut out. Go to GetTrumpSneakers.com to get your gold Trump sneakers. That's GetTrumpSneakers.com. It's an easy URL to remember. That's GetTrumpSneakers.com. See GetTrumpSneakers.com for details. Trump sneakers are not intended for investment purposes. Hurry! Go now to GetTrumpSneakers.com. That's GetTrumpSneakers.com.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Hi, I'm Matt Nadeau with Pearshell Financial Group of Apollon and host of Chicago's Real Money Pros. When managing stock and bond portfolios, we believe in the concept of buy and hold, but with a disciplined exit strategy. There are times in the stock market when the risks simply outweigh the potential returns, and it's time to get out. Don't believe the simplistic notion that you have to ride stocks all the way down to the bottom in a market crash. There is a need for an exit strategy, not based on fear or emotion, but on good research. Tune in to Chicago's Real Money Pros, where we will talk about an exit strategy for stocks and bonds. Visit our website at chicagosrealmoneypros.com, where you'll find upcoming workshops and other financial content. That's chicagosrealmoneypros.com. Log on today and use our Ask the Experts feature to get your questions answered.
Investment advisory services are offered by Apollon Wealth Management, LLC.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We do have to get to Kamala's performance on this Call Her Daddy podcast. Because the timing of it, too, where Trump is down in the affected areas and the nation's attention is focused on helping people devastated by Hurricane Helene. Kamala is indulging prurient interest on a podcast. That's at 6:36.
And today marks the 1-year anniversary since Hamas murdered and slaughtered Jewish people in Israel and what Trump is doing to commemorate that. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32, Hurricane Milton, now a Category 2 storm. Maximum sustained winds 100 miles an hour. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan.
Widespread rainfall totals of 5 to 10 inches with isolated amounts as high as 15 inches across portions of the Florida Peninsula and the Florida Keys through Wednesday night. Right now, the area that we're looking at for the highest overall rainfall totals is sort of in that I-4 corridor from Tampa over to Orlando, Melbourne, Daytona Beach, up towards Palm Coast and St. Augustine.
The National Hurricane Center expects the storm to approach the west coast of Florida Wednesday. Another 500 active duty troops are heading to western North Carolina. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell on ABC's This Week.
So we're working with the state EOC to understand what their requirements are going to be so we can have those in place before it makes landfall.
President Biden announcing additional federal troops arriving on Sunday. It's been 1 year since the October 7 terror attacks. Fox's Nate Foy is reporting from Israel.
The IDF announced that it intercepted 5 projectiles in southern Israel, and we heard sirens here in Tel Aviv as the IDF announced that Hamas fired 5 projectiles at central Israel, and we are hearing there are reports of at least 2 people injured near Ben Gurion International Airport as a result of that. There's still a lot of pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a ceasefire deal to bring the remaining hostages home. Early this morning in Jerusalem, outside his residence, as hundreds of people gathered calling for an immediate hostage and ceasefire deal. As of this morning, a full year later, 101 hostages remain in Gaza. 36 of them are confirmed to be dead.
Fox's Nate Foy. Vanderbilt's shocking win over Alabama is proving to be a bit costly. Schools being fined $100,000 by the SEC for violating the league's access to competition area policy. Following Saturday's 40-35 Commodores win, fans tore down the goalpost and marched it through Nashville for 3.5 miles before finally dropping it in the Cumberland River. Caleb Williams had the best performance of his young career as the Bears beat Carolina 36-10 at Soldier Field. Jacksonville and the Bears will tangle Week 6 in London. An arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field after the Bears game on Sunday afternoon. A 56-year-old man was struck by a car and killed riding his bike in Joliet in what police say was a hit and run early on Sunday morning. And authorities are investigating after skeletal remains were found in Chicago. State police say the discovery was made yesterday northbound on the Kennedy near Webster on state property. The news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get about 100% of that smile back? With the Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, and FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Papa Nicholas Coffee, the Alpha Wealth Group, Willows Academy, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. You know, the choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Have you lost Illinois Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Byrna less lethal launcher. Never feel unprotected again. Byrna is legal in all 50 states. No background checks or permits required. It's shipped right to your door. Visit Byrna.com. That's BYRNA.com. Kennedy inbound accident, right shoulder at Lawrence. 1 hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson already stacking up. Brake lights. Harlem to Kedzie. 41 into Lakeshore Drive. 22 on the inbound Dan Ryan, 95th. Into the Burns Circle. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, an accident right at the bottom of the exit ramp outbound to the Stevenson Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny will top out at 68 today. Clear and 49 overnight. It's 49 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. John Nolte over at Breitbart writing about the federal response to the Hurricane Helene devastation. And he's a North Carolina resident. Hopefully he's doing okay. Doing well enough to file this story, but I don't know from where. Anyway, he writes about the federal response. What incentive do Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have to get Trump voters back on their feet when getting them back on their feet means they'll be able to go out and vote against Kamala? None. Oh, you might still be naive and think people are suffering. Kamala wouldn't withhold aid just to win a few votes. What are you, an idiot? That's John Nolte writing. To win a few votes, Joe and Kamala threw the southern border wide open to fentanyl, killing a record number of Americans, and abetting the sex trafficking of countless little kids. I'm sure a big percentage of 320,000 that are missing. To win a few votes, Joe and Kamala want to nuke the Senate filibuster to make baby killing a right. To win a few votes, Joe and Kamala advocate to permanently mutilate and sterilize underage kids as sacrifices to the LGBTQ plus lobby. You don't think these same people are capable of leaving a bunch of people they see as deplorable, ignorant, gun and Bible-clinging redneck hillbillies without power for a few weeks if it increases the odds of winning a swing state? Let me tell you something. If you handed Kamala a red button that would give every Trump voter stomach cancer, she would break a leg running to press it. Then she would press it 4 more times just to be sure. Then she'd have her husband, Dougie, carry that red button around in his purse just so she could take it out, rub it like a talisman, and cackle at the memory. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 312-642-5600 is also the turnkey.pro text line. That's a spectacularly low opinion of Kamala Harris. But, I mean, is this something you disagree with, that this is beyond the pale, that they, you don't like to get into the business of questioning people's motivations, but in terms of the federal response, perhaps a combination of cultural rot and general incompetence, but certainly not anything that troubles Biden and Harris very much because of the potential political impact.
312-642-5600. There is reason for concern. 40,000 absentee ballots were mailed to voters in North Carolina counties that have been declared a disaster zone.
400,000.
400,000. As of Colin Rugg reporting this, only 2,000 have been returned so far. And now people don't have houses or mailboxes, or IDs.
There's still a long way to go. We've talked about this. You don't want to get too much into the political impact when you're still focused on life-saving, and there's something like between 1,000 and 1,200 people that are missing. And some of this could be they got out and people just haven't been in contact with them, and so on and so forth. So, but you're trying to figure it out. But there's also a belief that some people are still trapped, or some people were killed by mudslides that haven't been accounted for. I mean, all of this stuff is still very raw. And so you want to focus on the life-saving piece of it and the helping people piece of it. But you can do, you can run and walk and chew gum at the same time. So the politics of this, I mean, there's still 30 days, and so you want to give this a little time to breathe. But
Trump won North Carolina by 70,000 votes in 2020. So this could have a real impact on the election if they don't get it together.
Yeah, and he lost Georgia by less than 12,000. Mm-hmm. So that's the point. The point is that this is going to be up to the campaign and state election officials, like in Georgia, where you've got a Republican governor and Republican Secretary of State, as compared to North Carolina with Roy Cooper. It's going to be up to them to make sure that people are not disenfranchised.
Well, I was in Atlanta, and Kemp had a press conference and said, 23 people had died at that point in the state of Georgia. But he said, we are helping people. We are on the ground. We are helping them, and we will help them when it comes to voting in a month from now.
Well, right. I mean, that's what I expect it to happen, but it's a legitimate concern to raise because the attitude of the opposition is they'll, smile frack you.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say all the
Of course
right
they
things to your face, and they say all the right things about their concern for people of all stripes. And then behind doors, they're in the business of doing whatever it takes to secure an advantage. You know,
Press that red button.
By the way, Florida, with Hurricane Milton hurtling towards the west, hurtling towards the west coast of Florida, and supposed to make landfall on Wednesday, maybe as a Category 4. There are evacuation orders in a number of counties, I know. And this is important, too. You may have the same thing in play. One, again, the immediate concern is people's lives and homes and ability to survive. But secondly, in terms of the politics of this, I mean, if there's mass devastation in Florida, that Rick Scott Senate race, for example, is a lot closer than it probably otherwise should be. I'm not saying he's in jeopardy, but there's a political component to that, too. And this is why it's good to have a guy like Ron DeSantis in charge, because just as he was with Helene, he's ahead of the learning curve. He's scrambling the resources. He's deploying the resources. They have a plan. They're not going to get hung up with red tape and FEMA lethargy. And this was a press conference he had in advance of Milton.
Florida National Guard, Florida State Guard, additional FDOT personnel, Florida Highway Patrol are all hands on deck for this debris removal mission in advance of Hurricane Milton. Over 800 guardsmen are currently deployed in impacted areas, and we are in process of mobilizing a total of 4,000 to be deployed throughout the state. National Guard's also deploying heavy equipment to assist with debris removal, including Army and Air Force horizontal construction units, tactical high water vehicles, dump trucks, and front-end loaders. Division of Emergency Management is coordinating with local EM directors to inform them of the debris waste and landfill sites that have been ordered to remain open 24/7, and are surging assets, of course, to supplement local debris removal coordination. Now, this is a 24/7 moment for this debris removal. You have a storm and then have one less than 2 weeks later, two majors back to back. That is not something that is easy. That creates a lot of challenges. And so what we have to do is just do it around the clock until it's no longer safe to do it. So that's what the state assets are doing. That is what the local assets need to be doing as well. This is not a 9 to 5 debris removal. You're not going to be able to get it done if you just do 9 to 5. So we need everybody doing 24/7. And we would also advise local governments to do what the state government is doing. If we have a dump truck at FDOT, and that dump truck's coming to pick up debris, the Helene debris in areas that are in the eye of the forecast for Milton. It doesn't matter if that was their normal task. We're marshaling that. So local governments, they have dump trucks, they have different things in different departments. Bring it all together for these next 48 plus hours so that we can get the debris as much as possible. You may not be able to get all of it. There is a lot of it. But, man, you can certainly make a difference on that. But it's got to be 24/7. Otherwise, the state will be able to help and we'll be able to make an impact. But we need everybody, all hands on deck on that.
Well, now that's true leadership.
Yeah, that's what being an on-hands executive sounds like. A hands-on executive, I should say, sounds like. And
thank God we don't have hurricanes in Illinois.
You know that DeSantis is not going to be deferential too. If he hears of FEMA trying to crowd out local resources, private or state and local, that he'll put a stop to that right quick. So this is the sort of leadership that you need at the state level. It's the kind of sort of leadership we need at the federal level too. Obviously. Bob in Waukegan.
Yeah, this is crazy. It makes my hair on fire, and I don't have much hair left. For sure, the left will do anything they can to disenfranchise voters. What they should do is Samaritan's Purse should put backpacks full of ballots into their helicopters and drop them all over the place and put a flare in it for a pickup day. When the helicopters can go back and pick up all the ballots in the area, because Democrats don't want any of the votes to come from the rural area. They'll do anything they can to stop a Republican from getting a ballot in. Since Democrats are all in for not checking signatures and stuff. It shouldn't really make any difference, should it?
Right. Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah, I nominate Florida Congressman Corey Mills to lead ballot harvesting teams in Western Carolina and, frankly, potentially in Florida after Milton this week. We'll see. Tom, Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, I'm hoping that clip you played will become part of a regular rotation. Knowing that you're not one given towards hyperbole, I don't think people really understand what they're dealing with when they're dealing with Bolsheviks. Kamala Harris would definitely let any of us die if it were to enhance her power. For her to become president, it wouldn't even give it a second thought. And a while back, Dan, I had seen you at the cigar shop, and I had mentioned this several years ago. I'd mentioned I was at a house of a lady that we had done her roof, and she had a Sean Casten sign, and I was at the house next door. And I'll never forget, you commented to me, did I go next door and talk to her? And I remember thinking I should have. Well, I'll tell you, I have a couple that I do work for here in Blue Island, and they got a Harris Walt sign in front of their house. And I'm telling you, Dan, they're the absolutely nicest people in the world. And I would never approach politics with them because I know it'd be an absolute waste of time. And I think about it every day. I drive by their house and think, how can these people that are so nice, such nice people, be on the side of this Bolshevism? And I don't have an answer for it.
Yeah, they're dupes. I mean, they're, why the communists, thanks for the call, Tom, where do you think the communists, or why they came up with the term useful idiot? They're dupes. They're sentimental barbarians. They're very nice. They seem not particularly harmless, yet they are totally unmoored. And so they feel their way through lives, and that gives into all of the agitprop of the new Bolsheviks. This feeling, they feel so much, so they think. But they present as very nice. I mean, you think...
I wonder if they're single issue voters or what's motivating them.
There's a lot of nice people in Chicago, too. Nice people in Illinois. Oh, everybody's nice. Nice people in office who have facilitated untold horrors. You think you need to be mean to be a communist? Kamala Harris, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Kamala Harris is talking to, speaking of sentimental barbarians, this ghastly woman named Alexandra Cooper. This is the kind of things that Kamala and company are focused on in the closing weeks, even against the backdrop of the human suffering in places like the Eastern Seaboard. This is what they're talking about.
Just, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms. I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic, ever.
You mean an abortion clinic?
They're talking about, how in touch they are with the female body and how out of touch men are with the female body. And so since some men don't know how many tampons a woman uses on a daily basis or a weekly basis, they shouldn't be involved in conversations about things like unborn life. It's compelling stuff.
Quite the grotesque stretch, I would say. Because when I heard that, I thought, oh my God, this is sick. Why would she sit down with this woman?
Why? Because they're operating on the same intellectual level. It got even dumber from there.
And I want to pose this question more to you and the daddy gang. But one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I want to take a moment, and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body.
No.
Is there any law?
No.
It's
No.
Yeah.
Look,
No.
We are a work in
No.
progress.
We're a work in progress.
But here's
As a nation.
one of the many things I so love about our country.
What do you love? Come on.
Part of the strength of our country and our evolution as a country has been through the fight for the expansion of rights. Not the restriction of rights, but the expansion of rights. And we still have work to do. But I say that work is born out of love of country. And it's hard work, but it's good work, and it's important work.
It's important work.
And that's what's before each of us. And I think that, around election time, but every day.
Every day,
back
got to
to
do
the
the work.
conversation that we've
killing
been having
kids.
about power.
Every day.
The beauty of a democracy is that we each, as individuals, have the power to weigh in on this stuff.
She is such an important thinker. She represents Kamala Harris as a viable electorally candidate for president of the United States, represents how our country has evolved, not devolved. Okay. Oh, by the way, can you think of any law that restricts a man's use over his body? And they just cackled away. Of course not. Of course not. Well, first, yeah, I mean, women were gifted with being the life givers on this planet. That's an honor, not a burden. Number one. Number two, the vaccine mandates, did those apply to men?
What about the draft?
The draft?
That applies to men.
Prohibition of drug use. I mean, we could go on. Of course there are restrictions, but that's not even the point. The point is how silly and dangerous these people are. Silly and dangerous.
You want her being president of the United States?
I wish I could laugh it off, but they just have too much cultural and political power to find this humorous. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
The one thing I can find humorous in that is the way they talk. It's called vocal fry when the women talk like that, and it's completely annoying.
Look at this.
Anyhow.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. It's just crazy.
What are we going to do?
Tom from Blue Island call illustrates why Republicans can't get a foothold. I'm not blaming Tom because you don't want to get in a confrontation with neighbors who are nice and that type of thing. But I really hope, and I hope at some point you do a segment on what the solution is for Republicans to empower people like Tom, or give them tools, or to get them involved in the local level, precinct level, on how to have conversations with neighbors like that. Because people don't want to do it, because you don't want to alienate yourself, but it has to be done.
Thanks for the call, Kevin.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
So the Lord of War is back to arming America's enemies, Victor Bout. I wonder if people think the prisoner exchange of Bout for Brittany Griner was a good deal now. We'll start there with Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation at 7:07.
But first, let's stop by the newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Mayor Brandon Johnson to announce 7 new Chicago Board of Education appointments today. Skeletal remains found along the Kennedy in Chicago. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. endorses Bob Fioretti in the Cook County State's Attorney's race. Bicyclist killed in Joliet in a hit and run. The search is underway for a missing boater on Lake Michigan. Bears blow out the Panthers. The Bulls sign ahead of their preseason opener. And Week 7 of the college football poll has the Illini staying ranked. WIND Chicago News Time. 7.
A year after the Hamas terror attack, war still rages. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The threat from Hamas continues with 2 separate launches into Israel today.
And Fox's Nate Foy also reports Israeli forces keep up the attacks on Hamas inside Gaza with no deal in sight for a ceasefire. A year after the attack and kidnappings that triggered the war.
101 Israeli hostages remain in Gaza. Unfortunately, 36 of them are confirmed to be dead, with a 28-year-old man being added to that list just this morning.
Vice President Harris's running mate Tim Walz tells Fox News Sunday Israel has a right to defend itself.
We need the hostages returned, and we need to bring an end to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Palestinians say more than 40,000 people have been killed in the conflict. Former President Trump maintains Israel might be destroyed if he's not elected. And at a rally in Wisconsin, he criticized Hurricane Helene federal response.
The worst response to a storm or a catastrophe or a hurricane that we've ever seen, ever.
But FEMA's director is calling claims that funds are low because money was given to illegal immigrants ridiculous and false. President Biden has sent hundreds more troops to flood-devastated North Carolina to help the National Guard and FEMA in the response to the hurricane, which is now blamed for at least 230 deaths. And another one is coming. Milton bearing down on Florida's Gulf Coast.
To see a storm surge of 10 to 12 feet in and around the Tampa Bay, Fort Myers area up towards Cedar Key, that would be devastating.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean.
Evacuation orders began Sunday along Florida's Gulf Coast and will be increased today in hopes more people will listen this time. Some chose to ride out Hurricane Helene on barrier islands.
Can't do that again, folks.
Kathy Perkins is the emergency director for Pinellas County, Florida, which includes St. Petersburg and Clearwater.
That's Fox's Evan Brown. Milton's quickly grown into a Category 3 storm, forecast to be even stronger before hitting midweek. America's listening to Fox News.
48 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. An arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field after the Bears game Sunday afternoon. The victim was taken to Northwestern Hospital in good condition. There was one arrest. At least 26 were shot, 5 killed in weekend violence throughout the city. Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce today 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education.
So this is a transition moment for our Chicago Public Schools, and it's my responsibility to shepherd that transition.
The announcement comes after all members of the current board resigned on Friday. On Sunday, candidates running for the elected hybrid school board spoke out against the mayor's pressure tactics, including candidate Ellen Rosenfeld.
It's clear that Mayor Johnson will not wait for Chicagoans to place their vote for an elected school board. We must elect candidates who are independent of the mayor's office and special interests.
38 of 50 city council members signed a letter over the weekend demanding hearings this month before any appointments of new school board members. Illinois Senate Republicans this morning are demanding an audit of the state's child welfare agency after a news series of alleged abuses were reported. Injustice Watch reporting the taxpayer-funded Aunt Martha's Integrated Care Center is now subject to thousands of reports of violence, including allegations of sexual and physical abuse of children. Senate Minority Leader John Curran demanding an investigation by the Auditor General.
It is imperative that we have an independent audit and investigation of this situation outside of the executive branch.
The state's child welfare agency costs Illinois taxpayers more than $2.3 billion a year and has long faced scrutiny over poor operations and abuse allegations. Bears have won back-to-back games, beating the Carolina Panthers 36-10 at Soldier Field.
Quarterback was clean, took 1 sack, had a quarterback rating of 126, and that's good quarterbacking. It just is. It's finding the completions, taking the shots down the field. We wanted to get our receivers, involved today, and we did that.
Coach Matt Eberflus, Roshan Johnson scored a pair of touchdowns on the ground. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Aid for Women.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Jerry Padgett, the second enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan until Jerry was catastrophically injured in an improvised explosive device blast. Now, Jerry received a new smart home thanks to our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, the home is in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village. It's in Florida, and Jerry now lives more independently thanks to the specially adaptive technologies. Commit to $11 a month, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and this update. A service of almostfreeteeth.com with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP. It's possible to get 100% of your smile back, and you could save on average 90% for dental implants. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy accident, right shoulder inbound at Lawrence. It's already an hour 17 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan express lanes inbound all jammed up, 35th all the way up through 31st. Stop and go in the roadwork zone, DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound between Belmont, and North Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny skies for today. Our high 68. Clear tonight and a low 49. Sunny, pleasant day tomorrow. The high 72. And then sunny and pleasant on Wednesday. High 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
49 at O'Hare, 40 in Joliet, 45 in Waukegan, 54 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The surge in preventable crime continues. A surge that is exacting almost as much damage to, well, actually probably more damage in terms of the cost of human life than these natural disasters like Hurricane Helene. Illegal alien with a prior drunk driving conviction, accused of killing a 50-year-old surgeon in Georgia, Dr. Malcolm Goodchild, prominent surgeon, father of three children. Oh, he was killed in, he's from Georgia, but he was killed in Alabama. The 41-year-old illegal alien had been arrested by the local police department in Alabama and charged with felony reckless murder in connection to Dr. Goodchild's death, head-on collision. Heard a lot about those. We've heard about those in places like Springfield, Ohio, and Charleroi, Pennsylvania as well. People that are unfamiliar with our traffic laws, traffic signals, or worse, are drunk, so on and so forth. Again, does this happen within the American population of American citizens? Of course it does. But how is that a defense for adding to those preventable crimes? Not much of one. In North Dallas, we have this story. We just tell at least just a few of the stories every single day, just to keep it top of mind for people and encourage you to keep it top of mind for your people.
4 men arrested for allegedly beating a woman, tying her up, and robbing her inside her Northwest Dallas home on September 21st are believed to be connected to a Venezuelan gang, according to newly obtained arrest warrants. The robbery was reported by a woman who neighbors say lives alone at a home near the Dallas North Tollway and Lover's Lane. The woman told police she was approached as she got out of her vehicle and forced into her home at gunpoint. She was hit on her head with a gun and tied up. The suspects used Google Translate to communicate. The men threatened to cut off her fingers if she did not cooperate. They stole $75,000 worth of jewelry and more. A fingerprint on a wooden coin box, however, led police to Manuel Hernandez, who coincidentally was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery. The 28-year-old had a defective brake light, no driver's license, no insurance. The vehicle was not registered, and he was allegedly in possession of drug paraphernalia. So Dallas police used that info to locate Hernandez at his apartment in Hearst. During an interview with Dallas police, court documents say Hernandez admitted to being involved in the robbery and gave names of 4 others involved, who he says are part of a criminal street gang known as El Anti-Tren. Of those men, 3 were arrested following a SWAT standoff at an Irving apartment complex Thursday.
El Anti-Tren, I'll have to add that to my list of Venezuelan gangs being represented in American cities. It's wonderful. A related story, Ali Mayorkas has decided against repatriating more than 500,000 workers who were brought into the United States under the humanitarian parole program. Instead of returning to their home countries once their visa expires, 530,000 quote-unquote economic migrants are being encouraged to exploit various loopholes, exemptions, and legal challenges presented in immigration law to prolong their stay and continue working in this country. Sure, again, though, the law is just a workaround for people who want to reside here. I mean, it's really at their discretion. That's how it should be. That seems to be the posture of this administration. For more on this and the national security implications ongoing, pleased to be joined by Stephen Bucci for our weekly conversation. Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve, thanks for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
It is always good to be on the show. Thank you for having me back.
So, just a stop, look, and listen. I mean, these issues aren't new, but the problem continues to impose terrible costs on American families. And so just to stop, look, and listen, particularly against the backdrop of the war brewing in the Middle East and what that could portend for Iranians' interests in hitting America. It's so easy to get into this country. Other enemies of America, too, sending assets to get into this country illegally and do Americans harm on a more grand scale.
Yeah, look, you know, as you pointed out, all this stuff that the illegal aliens are doing is additive on top of what, you know, could happen in America on any given day, because American citizens, natural and naturalized, they do that, right? But why in the world does anybody think it's a good idea to add a couple of million extra people who either have individual problems or are problems because they're like these Venezuelan gang members or the folks living in communities that have no concept of how one lives here in America. So they either just violate the rules or want us to change all of our ways of doing things to accommodate them. And then we pay for the whole thing at a time when we don't have a surplus of taxes. We're in deficit spending all the time. And then the final one, as you bring up, we have adversaries in the world today who are watching this stuff, who watch it not just because they're interested in seeing how dysfunctional we are domestically and how divided we are, but because it's an opportunity to put assets into this country at almost no cost. You don't have to do big fancy, Jason Bourne style infiltrations to get people in here. They just walk over the border and their home country doesn't even have to fund their infiltration into America. The security will just give them money and give them housing and give them IDs. You don't even have to be a good spy or terrorist to get in here. You just gotta know how to
right,
walk.
it's easy. Remember the Turkish guy who walked across the border and he said, complained to the reporter, this was so easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, within the numbers that need to be repeated, 625,000 people, 425,000 that have been convicted of a crime, another 200,000 that are facing criminal charges in addition to being here illegally. More than 500,000 people that obviously came here to do harm to Americans or each other or all of the above. And as you say, so if they're sophisticated enough to make their way into this country, then a state sponsor of terror like Iran, the Russians, the Chinese Communist Party, you don't think they're sophisticated enough to do the same for whatever they may intend to inflict on America?
Yeah, and we have no idea who the hundreds of thousands of getaways, to use the term that they use at the border, who those people even are. Those are folks we have no record of. It's frankly just a estimate, which is probably low since it's coming from the government who's trying to justify what they're doing. People who have gone either between the border crossing points, nobody's got a record, nobody's done even the vetting of looking them from head to toe and say, okay, yeah, you look like you're part of the human race, so go on in. We have no idea who those people are. And if you were a high-end bad guy, would you go through the normal border crossing site? Because, there's a possibility somebody might spot you and pull you up on a database. No, you'd go between those sites. So
Well, and now we're seeing it.
bad guy in those getaways is probably massive.
I mean, just as a case study, again, this last week, the story, it's a couple weeks old, but the story again out of Canada, 20-year-old Pakistani national who was issued a student visa by Trudeau's government and had was there to carry an ISIS-related plot against Jewish residents of New York City. So we had the story last week, the other story about the porous nature of our northern border and the record number of illegal crossings into the northeast part of this country, and this is against the backdrop of an arrest of a Canadian, 20-year-old Canadian on a student visa, Pakistani national, who was essentially an ISIS asset. It's alleged.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on the northern border. It's just, I mean, people don't understand. The northern border is like 3 times as large as the southern border and way less developed. There's a ton more of it that are just woods. You know, we live in the northern Midwest, maybe a little further north than you guys, but there's not much up there. You know, in a lot of places you go and the road just stops and, you know, somewhere due north, Canada starts. There is so much room to move through there, and Canada, like the United States, is very open to immigrants. Once they get here, there's free movement. You know, we don't have people checking papers everywhere, you know, inside the country. So if somebody gets into Canada, it's kind of free reign to get into here. It's not quite, you know, legally free reign like it is going between European Union countries, but it's not much more difficult to move around. That's an enormous vulnerability we have that we hardly ever even bother to talk about.
You know, one thing that bothers me is the ICE data that came out about, you know, the criminals that are here, 15,000 murderers, 13,000 sexual offenders. Did ICE get this information and then they say, okay, well, come on in anyway? I mean, knowing that information, why would they let them in here anyway?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, obviously, if they weren't given orders just to let them in, they're kind of doing a very poor job with their security protocols. But no, look, they do the most cursory checks of the people they actually stop that they can get away with because that's what their political leaders have directed them to do. And then they let them in. And their own IG report that came out and pointed out all of these criminals, all of these people with murder convictions, not suspected, not alleged. They've been convicted of murder, some of them here, and they let them in anyway. I don't get that. I don't see how anyone who has any sort of sentient behavior or sentient capacity allows that to happen. But it's not the border agents' fault. This is what they've been ordered to do.
The prisoner swap with Victor Bout and Brittany Griner to get Brittany Griner back to playing in the WNBA. Victor Bout, the so-called Lord of War or Merchant of Death, whichever you prefer, memorialized in the Lord of War, the movie with Nick Cage played Victor Bout. He's back in business, and the report from the Wall Street Journal is that he is helping to secure arms for the Iranian-backed Houthis, who are happy to attack and kill American soldiers that are in harm's way in theater right now, unbeknownst to Kamala Harris, apparently. The Houthis, arming the Houthis, Victor Bout. This turned out to be a good prisoner swap for America's interests?
I don't know. It depends on what value you put on the WNBA, I guess.
I suppose, yeah.
No, it's not a good swap. It was an incredibly bad one. This was an honest-to-God bad guy who needed to stay in prison. You know, could we not have, negotiated to get somebody else out besides this hardcore criminal who's now, you know, he just rolled right back into business, and his business is not good stuff.
Bo Bergdahl, Brittany. I mean, Bo Bergdahl is not the same as Brittany Griner, but the idea, the swap. So Taliban terrorists, by the way, they're now back in charge of Afghanistan. This just in. Victor Bout, by the way, he's back to being the Lord of War, and that puts American soldiers in harm's way. I mean, these prisoner exchanges, you want to get American hostages back, of course, but boy, it seems like we give away the store every time we do, and we end up potentially costing more lives than we saved.
Yeah, and Bergdahl, I mean, Brittany Griner was an American citizen who did something really stupid and broke Russian law. That was kind of common knowledge. Okay, I can understand trying to get her back.
Yeah.
Bo Bergdahl deserted his post and got several of his unit mates killed when they went out to look for him because they thought he had, it was an inadvertent thing. As it turns out, he did it on purpose, going there, and we traded hardcore terrorist leadership for him and then celebrated it like we'd gotten a hero out of prison. Come on. He should have gone to jail. We should have just left him there. That's where he wanted to go. He should have stayed there.
The sickness of the Joe Obama years, their really distaste for Americans, at least Americans who are not similarly ideologically affiliated. That's for sure. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Dan Proft here for my friends at Low T Center. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These are not just basic standard quote-unquote treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Limited time left. Are you ready to seize a unique investment opportunity that could save you in taxes for 2024 and help you secure your financial future? Goldman Sachs predicts oil to remain in the $70 to $100 range. So why not invest in the uptrend now? That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you are an SEC-accredited investor with at least $100,000 in liquid assets, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's exclusive projects and a significant tax write-off for 2024. But hurry, there's limited time left this year to benefit from the incredible tax incentive. Imagine nearly 100% of your investment being deductible for 2024. Don't miss out on this limited time opportunity to create monthly income for up to 20 or more years to come. Call 800-278-7455 now and connect to a knowledgeable Encore Energy representative. Encore is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call Encore Energy now at 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
All right, do you wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder or hips? You've tried steroid shots over and over, daily doses of medication, physical therapy, but those are just Band-Aids for the pain. Let's talk about real, lasting relief. You know, thousands of patients will tell you it is possible with help from our good friends at QC Kinetics. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, most importantly, getting their lives back. It's no way to live. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies using your own body's healing properties, concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joint. Now, this is cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime, developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a former orthopedic surgeon and a pioneer in clinical regenerative medicine. Folks, the choice is yours. You can continue with the steroids and the daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery that may or may not even work, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, the full Kamala interview with 60 Minutes is Bill Whitaker, which basically was about as robust as the Stephen Colbert interview. That will air tonight, but they released snippets over the weekend, and wait till you hear her answer about America's relationship with Israel. We'll start there with Leo Leibovitz, editor-at-large for The Tablet, at 7:37.
Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, 48 degrees and some sunshine this morning. Both former President Trump and Vice President Harris are set to speak today on the one-year anniversary of the Hamas terror attacks on Israel. Fox's Gernal Scott says protests are expected in many U.S. cities today.
Since last October 7th, Israel-Hamas conflict have broken out on college campuses and in many cities. In New York City, home to the largest Jewish population outside Israel, NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry said last week demonstrations are anticipated.
We support their right to express their First Amendment and lift their voices. But again, we will not tolerate any criminal activity, no destruction of property, no harming innocent people.
Mayor Eric Adams said there will also be zero tolerance for impeding traffic and emergency responders, as well as the places people work and worship. In New York City, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to speak at a remembrance event taking place at his golf course in Florida. President Biden will mark the anniversary with an event at the White House. Meantime, a rocket attack from Lebanon is leaving destruction in the Israeli port city of Haifa. A restaurant was hit. There are multiple injuries. FEMA's administrator says the agency is ready for the hurricane expected to slam Florida this week. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan warns that Milton could be dangerous for a wide swath of Florida.
We are expecting Milton to be a hurricane as it moves across the state of Florida, bringing the potential for hurricane impacts across interior portions of the state, including risk along the I-4 corridor over to the Daytona Beach, Cape Canaveral area. Also the potential for some life-threatening storm surge inundation along the Florida East Coast as well.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency for 51 counties. The Nobel Prize in Medicine awarded to Americans Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkun for their discovery of microRNA, a fundamental principle governing how gene activity is regulated. Bears beat Carolina 36-10 at Soldier Field. Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams threw for 2 touchdowns.
They did a great job today. I told them that at the end of the game, that they did a great job in protection, the run game, and all of that. So it always starts with them and ends with them.
Offensive line played well, according to Williams. Bears have won back-to-back games, and they'll take on Jacksonville, Week 6, in London. Meantime, an arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field following the Bears game Sunday afternoon. That 41-year-old man who pulled a knife cut the victim in the left shoulder and face. The victim taken to Northwestern Hospital, the 41-year-old arrested. Chicago sports, Bulls trimming their roster ahead of their first preseason game and adding free agent shooting guard Ben Coupet. Blackhawks reducing their roster ahead of the opening of the NHL regular season. Hawks visiting Utah tomorrow night. The news is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving, but when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repairs all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web, vansindustrial.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
7:39 coming up on 7:40, and let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of about 90% on dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Stop and go on the inbound Kennedy, 90 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Accident may involve a squad car this morning inbound on the Ike at North Avenue, 68 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Checking the Dan Ryan, 35, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, stop and go southbound between Wilson and North Avenue in the ongoing roadwork zone. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and 68 today. Overnight, clear and 49. Currently, partly cloudy and 49 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So there's a full 60 Minutes interview of sorts by Bill Whitaker of one Kamala Harris that will air tonight. But if the clips that were released over the weekend to tease tonight's interview are any indication, it's another softball interview where Kamala blathers on incoherently on topic after topic. The clip that was released over the weekend was her discussion of the relationship, the America's relationship with Israel.
Yeah, her refusing to call Netanyahu a close ally.
And the first question Bill Whitaker set up was about the ceasefire. We have given Israel aid, and we have said we have pushed for a ceasefire, but Bibi doesn't seem responsive. We have told him not to go into Lebanon, but he went into Lebanon. Bibi does not seem to be responsive. So why is he not listening?
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
A move, and since October 7th of last year, the October 7th terrorist attack, the work that they have done has resulted in movements that have improved the advocacy for what needs to be done. Boy,
I mean, she has no grasp of foreign policy. I mean, this is horrifying.
that is a dizzying answer. I mean, that's the sort of high-level diplomatic speak that's just beyond my ken. So we're going to have our next guest, Leo Lebovitz, help me translate that. She also was asked about whether or not we should consider, we should consider Bibi a close ally, and she said this.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes.
Leo Leibovitz is editor-at-large for Tablet, and he is also the host of the new podcast, Rootless. He was a favorite guest of ours on this show. He's also one of my favorite podcast guests on my podcast, Counterculture. Leo, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, as always.
So, could you help us with the movements that have resulted in the advocacy for where we need to be?
Where I'm tempted to start the answer like Kamala does by telling you that I was born in a middle-class family, but I'm still not completely fluent. Honestly, I've watched these clips. I have four things to say since we're talking now in the morning of October 7th, and the things that I wish to say are Eden Alexander, Sagi Dekelchen, Omer Nutra, and Keith Siegel, 4 American citizens, Dan and Amy, who are being held hostage for 1 year without the government expressing even the least concern, without the American government saying, you know what, we're going to do whatever we can. Forget Israel, forget foreign policy, forget all that. That's complicated stuff. American citizens should not rot in a terrorist captivity for 1 year. They simply should not.
Well, and I'll let you run down your other 3 points, but and we were just talking about this with Stephen Bucha from the Heritage Foundation. That's another interesting contrast to the news out over the weekend. Wall Street Journal reporting the Lord of War, Victor Bout, is back to his old business of arming Americans' enemies, the Iranian-backed Houthis, who have designs on killing American military personnel in theaters. So. Compare the Brittany Griner attention and the Brittany Griner for Victor Bout prisoner swap to the attention that isn't being paid to these American hostages you just pointed out.
Brittany Griner in return for arming a terrorist group that is currently not only killing Americans and threatening Israelis, but also halting 20%. That's a mind-blowing number. 20% of all global commerce, and are sure to make everyone's Christmas gift that much more expensive. And here is the administration doing absolutely nothing.
The other, let you continue on, the other comments that you wanted to make, including if you could fold in the idea that Bibi is not an ally, but Israel is.
This is, as you said, diplomatic speak is often very, very confusing. But what we're looking at here right now is not diplomatic speak. It's actually pretty simple. Here's what Israel has done in the 1 year since October 7th. Israel has gone to war against Hamas, debilitating its capacities and killing, according to reports, something like 80% of the people who died in Gaza were Hamas operatives or their direct family members and aid. Israel has gone to war against Hezbollah, a notorious terrorist organization that is committed to killing not only Israelis and Jews, but also Americans. Israel, for example, just assassinated one of the Hezbollah leaders who was directly responsible for murdering basketball coach Steve Kerr's father. Right. Steve Kerr, who, of course, loves to talk about, all kinds of progressive and democratic causes. Israel is fighting the exact same enemies who are currently fighting Israel, but whose main goal, whose real target is clearly us here at the United States of America. To see this administration not only fail to give Israel the green light, forget the aid, forget the ammunition, we don't need all that, just need a green light to go ahead and do the rational, basic thing of fighting people who have lobbed thousands of missiles at us, who killed 1,300 of our civilians, who kidnapped hundreds of men, women, and children, and executed, raped, and tortured in such, brutalities a year ago. To see the American administration fail to do that, continue to press for quote-unquote ceasefire, which really only means keeping Hezbollah and Hamas in power. And as we saw the other day, approve $157 million in aid to Lebanon, which really means to Hezbollah, when there are people in Asheville, North Carolina, who could really use, a few shekels right now. That is just, honestly, guys, it's inexplicable.
Well, it just proves that America's not first. But I wanted to ask you about what is the underlying reason why she refuses to call Netanyahu a close ally?
Well, Kamala Harris, if we're being completely honest, even if she's elected, Lord help us all, in November, will not truly be the president. Just as, if we're being honest, Biden was not really the president. The president for some years now has really been Barack Obama, pulling the strings behind the scenes with the same team that he's had in place ever since he was elected. And his main foreign policy goal was this thing called the realignment, by which America, for a host of reasons that, are so stupid that only an academic could dream up, America aligned itself not with Israel and Saudi Arabia, countries with which it actually has not just shared real security interests, but also cultural affinities. But because Democrats see everything as domestic politics, they read Israel as Republican. Therefore, they read, Iran, the murderous mullahs who chant every day, death to America, death to Israel, as Democrat assets. And therefore, they've concocted an entire, absolutely bonkers foreign policy by which America's number one goal in the world should be protecting Iranian assets like Hamas, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, at any cost. Therefore, if you see everything in these terms, in terms of, blue and red, you look at Netanyahu and you don't see a determined leader who's actually fighting terror and who's killing people who massacred, dozens of Americans and are holding American citizens captive, trying to release them. You basically see a Republican, and therefore you'll do whatever it takes to oust him. That is, a very, very silly and dangerous way of looking at the world, and proves yet again she's not ready to be in any position of power.
Protecting Iranians' assets and unfreezing Iranian assets, too, in furtherance of protecting those assets.
Absolutely.
I wanted to get your take on this from a conservative perspective because, I have a lot of friends who essentially take the same position on Israel that they've taken on Ukraine, which is to say, not our fight. Why is our money going there? It should be going to places like the southeast corner of the country at this juncture after Hurricane Helene, and look, all the Jewish population in this country votes 70% with the Democrats. So why should we care? And I have to go into the explanation that this isn't about. This is about more than Israel and Gaza. This is about a fight for Western civilization in which Israel is a partner. So you can't look at it through the prism of the domestic politics of American Jews. You have to look at it in terms of a existential fight for Western civilization. So that's the track I go down. But I wanted to get your response to that same criticism coming from the right. The America Firsters that really don't want to be spending billions of dollars in support of arming the Israelis for their campaign either.
I agree. Pardon me. I agree 100%. I too am very much America first, and I look at this war, and here's what I see. I see a country, Israel, determined to defend itself, having everything that it needs. Thank God, to fight the fight in the long term. Now, you're completely correct, Dan, that this is not just Israel's fight, that this is America's fight, that this is the fight for Western civilization. But when it comes to how best to help Israel defend Western civilization, there happens to be a pretty easy win-win type of answer that President Trump was actually, brilliant enough to recognize right away, which is to say, hey, man, we don't want a single American dollar, and even more importantly, a single American boy lost to wars outside of our borders. Here's what we could do. We could step back and we could give our allies everything they need to win. In our case, in the case of Israel, we're not even talking money. Look, in July last year, before October 7th even happened, I wrote a piece that called on ending American aid to Israel right now.
Yeah,
I explained in this piece that American aid to Israel isn't really aid. It's not a gimme. It's backdoor subsidies to U.S. security contractors that actually costs Israel something like $1.2 billion every year, 20 to 40 to 60,000 jobs in Israeli security industries lost every year because, and this again is another one of Obama's great creations, the Democrats wrote this piece of legislation, and yes, it existed even before the Democrats, but Obama really made it kind of a centerpiece of his relationship with Israel to say, guys, we'll give you this $3 billion a year, but in return, you're not allowed to do anything, basically, without American approval. And we're seeing the disastrous aftermath of this policy right now with the American administration telling Israel what it should and shouldn't bomb and when. Here's a simple solution. Let's cut all the ties. Let's cut all the aid. Let's reestablish the relationship between Israel and America based not on these backdoor subsidies, but based on values, but based on shared pursuits, but based on ideas, but based on beliefs. And then let's say to Israel, when it fights a good fight, hey, we will support you in any way we can at the UN, in the international arena, and, try to kind of like rush orders of F-35s or whatever you guys need to buy and pay full market price for. That is the best way to let Israel win, to defend American values, and to defend the West.
I wanted to get to your piece, the screw tape election, because this to me is like, I wish I would have thought about it. I don't know why I didn't think about C.S. Lewis, but the parallel that you write about in First Things is perfect. And to me, it's an essay, on the order of the Flight 93 election, or by Michael Anton, or Shelby Steele's piece on the culture of deference that punctuated previous campaign cycles in the Trump era. The screw tape election, where you address the notion that's popular even among some sort of, center-right Republicans, that if Trump and Republicans just stop with the name-calling and stayed on the substance of policy talk, that this thing would be an easy win. You address why that is not the case.
Well, the thing that really got me, and I picked up. Look, I'm a religious man. I'm a believer in God, so I don't believe that there's anything that's coincidental. But a few months ago, I picked up my copy of the Screw Tape Letters, just sitting there. And for those of our listeners who haven't read it in a while, it's a series of letters by a senior demon, a senior devil in hell's hierarchy, to his young and sort of hapless nephew, who's a sort of beginning demon. And the whole thing is fascinating because it's basically a master class on how to lie, obfuscate, and basically make every virtue appear like a vice, and vice versa. And you look at the conversation that's going on, and at some point, you kind of take two steps back and you say, I'm sorry, but our borders are wide open, and there are tens of thousands of people with terrorist backgrounds, with murder convictions, with rape convictions, coming in uninterruptedly. What are we talking about? This is no longer about, politics as usual, or this party versus that party. This seems to be an election that is truly about your perception of reality, your perception of good versus evil. You're kind of like, it's an election that is about a return to first principles. If you cannot assert what reality is, if you cannot assert what good and evil are, then all this, fine highfalutin talk about January 6th, or, he said this or he said that, it doesn't matter anymore. This is a deeply grounding election. And look, I'm an ever optimist. I think it's going to go very well.
Liel Leibovitz, editor-at-large for Tablet, host of the new podcast Rootless. Liel, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Seth Leibson for townhall.com. October 7th marks 1 year since the Hamas massacre in Israel, and we're hearing of marches to commemorate at several universities in the United States. Marches essentially to celebrate the atrocities, not mourn the victims, of October 7th. A professor at Oxford once said, quote, "The chief purpose of education is to know when someone is speaking rot," close quote. And there's an awful lot of rot being spoken today, especially at our universities. To appreciate the immorality of this, imagine a vigil on behalf of Al-Qaeda members on September 11th, 2002. This year has seen a lot of moral inversion. We saw college students all over the country rediscovering and promoting the purported wisdom of Osama bin Laden, and we've seen marches and encampments under the banners of terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. There ought to be no confusion. Today, we're mourning the victims and renewing our resolve to fight against the barbarism of Islamist terrorism. And today, we're stating clearly and unequivocally, we stand with Israel. I'm Seth Leibson.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Alex Berenson at 8:08, get his reaction to Hillary's latest pronouncement about the need to quiet social media. That's 8:08.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Mayor Johnson expected to announce 7 new Chicago Board of Education appointments today. A bicyclist killed in a hit and run in Joliet. A man slashed with a knife following the Bears game at Soldier Field. Those Bears beat the Panthers on Sunday. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Here comes Milton. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I know people are hurricane weary, but this is going to be a major storm impacting millions of people in Florida.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. Milton has quickly grown to a Category 3 hurricane with 125-mile-an-hour wind, and it's forecast to get stronger. So Fox's Evan Brown reports there are evacuations along Florida's west coast ahead of a midweek hit.
Many lost their homes in Hurricane Ian 2 years ago or suffered damage just last month from Hurricane Helene.
Just got ourselves new houses, back into our houses.
Virginia Neff lives on Pine Island near Fort Myers. Jay Conklin is getting himself and his family out.
I've already boarded up my mom's house, boarded up my kid's house, and now I'm working on my house.
This as search and rescue, salvage, and recovery continue from Helene's devastation, much of it from flooding in North Carolina. Former President Trump's critical of the federal response. His running mate J.D. Vance tells Fox.
They're angry, they're sad, they're heartbroken. You talk to a lot of folks, and this is a region, the Appalachian region of our country, that has been ignored by leaders for 40 years, and they really feel ignored today.
President Biden's mobilized hundreds of active troops to join FEMA and the National Guard. The storm blamed for at least 230 deaths. Today marks 1 year since Hamas's terror attack in Israel and the kidnappings.
By the end of the day, we had one son missing and another son lying in Beersheba Soroka Hospital, shot through the thigh.
Rabbi Doron Perez tells Fox that missing son is among the 36 dead hostages Hamas still has. 65 others still believed to be alive in Gaza. Now, Israel's being attacked still by rockets fired today from Hamas and Hezbollah as Israeli troops keep attacking militants in Gaza and Lebanon.
In the year since Hamas's terror attack on Israel, the U.S. has spent more than $22 billion in the region, according to an estimate from Brown University's Cost of War project. That total includes $17.9 billion in security assistance for Israel's military operations.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
It's 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Topping our news this morning, an arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field after the Bears' win on Sunday afternoon. Chicago police say just after 6, an unknown male got into an argument with a 41-year-old man who pulled a knife and slashed the victim's left shoulder and face. The victim rushed to Northwestern Hospital in good condition. Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce today 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education.
So this is a transition moment for our Chicago Public Schools, and it's my responsibility to shepherd that transition.
38 of 50 city council members over the weekend did sign a letter demanding hearings this month before any new appointments to the school board. Authorities continuing to investigate after skeletal remains were found in Chicago along the Kennedy Expressway near Webster. State police are investigating. With the racketeering and bribery trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan scheduled to begin tomorrow, Illinois lawmakers are recalling some of Madigan's tactics, including State Representative Kelly Cassidy, who was forced to resign from the Cook County Sheriff's Office in 2018.
My supervisor at the time came to me and said that the Speaker's Chief of Staff had called to see if I was still employed there and asked me if that was something that they did ordinarily. And I said no, and she said I didn't think so, and it seemed ominous.
The 82-year-old Madigan served as Speaker of the Illinois House for all but 2 years, from 1983 to 2021. The news service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs, and now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Chevron is selling its oil sands and shale assets to Canadian Natural Resources for $6.5 billion. Chevron has a goal of selling $10 to $15 billion worth of assets in the next 4 years. Mining company Rio Tinto could be purchasing Arcadium Lithium. It is in talks with the company. Lithium's used in batteries for electric vehicles and for power grid storage. Rio Tinto is looking to benefit from growth in clean energy. Interest rates on U.S. Treasuries have moved higher after Friday's stronger than expected employment report. Now there's concern the Federal Reserve may pull back on its plan to continue cutting interest rates. Goldman Sachs believes the S&P 500 will rise to 6,300 in the next year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated Windows and Doors.
You've all heard about PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, and you know that it's a weight loss program that works. You don't lose weight easily or quickly, but you lose the weight naturally. The program is based 100% on nutrition. They teach you to eat the right food for your body. There are no drugs, no injections, no terrible side effects. In fact, all the side effects of this program have been good ones. Better energy, you'll sleep better, have more focus, and your clothes will fit better. More importantly, you'll just feel better. If you have weight to lose and are considering taking those weight loss shots on the market, please read the side effects first. Getting healthy should not make you sick, and it shouldn't make you dependent on a drug. PhD is freedom. PhD teaches you to rely on yourself and your knowledge and do what is right for your body. Call them today at 864-644-1900 or find them online at myphdweightloss.com. That's 864-644-1900.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness, I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago. Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who is just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy 95 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike Stop and Go inbound through the avenues. Inbound Dan Ryan 40 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Lakeshore Drive solid southbound between Wilson and North Avenue in that roadwork zone, and delays on the Reagan I-88. You're slowing up between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny skies for today, our high 68, clear tonight and a low 49. Sunny, pleasant day tomorrow, the high 72, and then sunny and pleasant on Wednesday, high 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A public service announcement of sorts here. Our friend Tom Sadeka, who was the organizer of the Rebel Lunch crew back during the shutdowns, supporting the restaurants that remained open in defiance of Jelly Belly and other COVIDians. Tom Sadeka sent this to me. America's Wall of Honor is on the road gathering supplies to take to South Carolina. We're pulling out of Omaha in the morning, that's today, with a stop in Rochelle, then on to Schaumburg. Trucks will roll into Schaumburg around 3 p.m. and roll out for South Carolina at 7 p.m. So 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock in Schaumburg if you want to support the effort. They're staging at in the parking lot behind Morton's Steakhouse in Schaumburg. So Morton's Steakhouse, Schaumburg, 3 to 7 p.m. today. Items needed.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do they need?
No bottled water. They already have that, which is great. But the items needed: baby diapers, baby formula, non-perishable food, toothbrushes, toothpaste, feminine hygiene products, and generators. So those are the items that they're looking for being taken down to South Carolina to help those who have been terribly impacted by Helene. 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, staging at the parking lot behind Morton's Steakhouse in Schaumburg. Okay.
Good. Maybe we can have them on tomorrow and they can talk about what, supplies they've received. And we're helping Americans because our government is turned their back on that.
Well, Hillary Clinton was on Michael Smerconish's show on CNN. If you're not familiar with it, Smerconish is basically the only CNN host who would be found mentally fit to stand trial if he were charged with a criminal offense. Mm-hmm. And that's how I distinguish him from the rest of the lineup. And Hillary was on the warpath again against the First Amendment. We really need to do something about that. She has social media companies in her sites, as she has before, and many of her allies in this administration do as well.
There should be a lot of things done. We should be, in my view, repealing something called Section 230, which gave platforms on the internet immunity because they were thought to be just pass-throughs, that they shouldn't be judged for the content that is posted. But we now know that that was an overly simple view, that if the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
We lose total control. Forgetting the argument over Section 230 for the moment, we lose total control. The follow-up should have been, who is the we and of what control do you speak? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Alex Berenson, author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government, Rights, and Lives. His Substack, which is more powerful than a speeding bullet and certainly more powerful than corporate media. He wrote about it. His Substack is Unreported Truths, alexberenson.substack.com. Alex, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, we lose control. Who is the we Hillary speaks of?
Well, that's a really good question, right? It's her and her husband and all the right-thinking, who are of course left-thinking people who, at the top of academia, at the top of philanthropy, increasingly at the top of corporate America, all the people who know what's good for us and are going to shove it down our throats whether we like it or not. And they're very frustrated with social media because they can't control it the way they control almost everything else.
We keep hearing. I mean, John Kerry just a couple weeks earlier at the World Economic Forum was talking about news outlets that traffic in what he calls misinformation, and we need to revisit the First Amendment. Very much like you hear people talking about revisiting the Second Amendment, which they usually mean to repeal the right enshrined in those amendments. And my sense is that's largely what they're telegraphing. The John Kerrys and the Hillary Clintons are telegraphing here.
I think it's more than telegraphing. I don't know if they think that they could actually repeal the First Amendment, but they want certainly to make it functionally much less protective of our right to speak. And they want the government to have a lot of influence over what's said on social media platforms. And I think the platforms actually are starting to, and X is its own place because Elon, it's owned by an individual who has his own views and does believe in free speech, but I think he's not running it from a point of view of sort of maximizing wealth for shareholders. But I think Facebook/Meta has woken up to the danger of being put in this position of having to regulate content and determine which political views are acceptable, and they've kind of realized they don't want to do it, and so they're fighting back a little bit publicly, and I think that has annoyed John Kerry and Hillary Clinton and sort of the elite left.
But then you have Elon Musk in charge of X, who is a Trump supporter and was with him in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday.
I mean, honestly, that's probably not ideal either. But I do think Elon has a sort of philosophical commitment to free speech. But what you can see with Elon and X is that X got into a fight with Brazil, the country of Brazil, and they really had to back down. Right? The companies are powerful, but when a national government of a big country decides it's going to target you, you have very little recourse as a corporate entity. And that's why the First Amendment is so important, right? The First Amendment says that we as Americans have the right to speak without governmental interference. And, there is a big and important fight happening right now, and I'm part of it, right, with Berenson v. Biden, with my lawsuit against the federal government. When the federal government tries to lean on the companies, can it do that? And how heavily can it lean on them? And can it do it in secret and target individual users in secret? I think it's a very complicated. There's one part of this that's very complicated, right? Which is, should the companies be forced to carry every piece of speech, just the way the telephone companies are forced to carry essentially every conversation? And that is I can argue that both ways. But there's also a simpler question, which is, should the government be pushing companies to not carry individual users it finds repugnant, whoever is in power at that time, or ban individual posts that are legal but that it doesn't like? And the answer to that question is no. The federal government should not be involved in targeting individual users or posts that are not clearly illegal. And so I think we should all agree on that, and I think the left should agree on that.
Well, right, but the problem is you get a popular agreement, at least majority agreement, on that conceptually. But despite all the reporting of the Twitter files, and despite your lawsuit that you referenced, in practice, when it becomes somebody or something that you can convince the majority is a threat to our democracy, all of a sudden they're willing to throw over First Amendment protections for that person or that outlet, as we see with Trump. And, frankly, I hate to have such a low opinion of half the country, but half the country is susceptible to the sentimentalist argument of this person bad, or what this person said is dangerous, it's misinformation, and we over here are the repositories of the truth, and all we're trying to do is make sure people get the truth and are not subjected to the horror of what we say is misinformation.
Right. That's the argument that the left is making openly. The problem is, who are the elites? Who defines misinformation? I got banned from Twitter, right? So this is very personal to me. And I got banned from Twitter for a tweet that said, it doesn't stop infection or transmission, and we want to mandate it insanity. Okay? That was the tweet. I mean, there's a little bit more in it, but the core line was, it doesn't stop infection or transmission.
How did that turn out?
Yeah,
right.
Who was right and wrong with that one?
That's right. Who had the misinformation about that? So the corrective to speech is more speech. The corrective to hate speech is more speech, and letting people judge for themselves whether they think terrible ideologies are things they want to be associated with. That's how this country was founded. That's what this country should believe in, and it's disgusting to me that these people think they know better.
Well, how long did it take you to get your Twitter account back?
So I got back on in April of 2022, in July of 2022 after being banned in August of 2021. So it took me 11 months, and those 11 months were the mandate months. So I couldn't speak on that issue, and I know there are people who got mandated who wouldn't have if I'd been able to speak up for them. I know that's true because some of them have told me. And so what I say about this, and it's true, is my rights were violated, but so were a lot of other people's when I was silenced.
I love this publication of this email exchange you had with an LA Times writer about a pandemic conference at Stanford you were part of. I mean, just the exchange, if you could summarize with Michael Hiltzik over at the LA Times about this conference and your participation in it and what it should tell us about corporate media.
So Michael Hiltzik is a huge, mandate and lockdown proponent. And it's interesting. Most people have forgotten this, but there are a few people on the left, just like there are a few people on the right, who have not forgotten. And he has not forgotten, and he's still trying to silence people like me. And so he was very annoyed that Stanford, which obviously, is a prestigious place, hosted a conference and allowed me to speak. And so he wrote me an email saying basically, well, what did you say there? Well, it's like, first of all, buddy, this is public. You can go look for yourself what I said. I don't have to defend myself to you. But if you're going to ask me, has my opinion of the vaccines, the mRNA vaccines, changed since 2021? Yeah, it sure has. It's gotten a lot worse. And by the way, at the beginning of 2022, you wrote an article saying, hey, the deaths of anti-vaxxers should sometimes be mocked. That's basically what the article said. And that's what the headline said. Do you stand by that? And I actually got an email back from him, which became a subject of a second Substack of mine, where he basically blamed the headline writer, which is, for those of you who are journalists, that's the oldest trick in the book. Oh, I didn't write that headline. That I don't agree with that. But he didn't even say I don't agree with that. So I guess Michael Hiltzik still believes that the deaths of people who were not vaccinated from COVID is something to be mocked. And again, this just tells you how ideologically blinkered these people are, that you would have that opinion ever, and that you would still hold that the deaths of innocent people should be mocked.
Well, the other thing too is your use of Substack, which again is an outlet that those who want to curtail First Amendment rights could come after, just like any other. But you publish the exchange in advance of whatever he writes, so now there's a record of what the actual exchange was that could inform what he writes, because he doesn't want to be essentially caught completely misrepresenting. And so it's just a fascinating that you have the platform that you've built enough such that you can hold corporate media responsible in a way that a lot of people can't.
Yeah, I mean, a great point. So I beat him at his own game, right? He sort of threatened to write something negative about me. All I published was our actual exchange to 250,000 people, and I beat him to that because he has to wait a couple days for his editors to sign off and the paper to come out, and I can just publish essentially immediately. And so it I hope.
Alex Berenson, author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government, Rights, and Lives. Again, his Substack, and now you know the value of it, if you didn't before. Unreported Truths, alexberenson.substack.com. Unreported Truths is the title of his Substack. Alex, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks so much.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
By the way, we'll also post the details of that wall, the Tom Sedeka Drive that's meeting at Schaumburg in the back of the Morton's parking lot in Schaumburg today. America's Wall of Honor effort to bring supplies down to those impacted by Helene. We'll tweet that out so you have the details. I'm here for my friends at Low T Center now. If you're frequently tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get results back right there. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, that is, or TRT for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're individualized. They're not just basic standard treatments. For established patients, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored at-home treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, with some very exciting news. Remember, my gold sneakers, they went like crazy. Everybody's talking about them. They're still talking about them. People went wild for them, and that's good. They sold out in a matter of hours. So get my new Trump sneakers and don't miss out.
Hey everyone, yes, you heard that right. President Donald J. Trump has released a limited number of gold low-top sneakers. These Trump sneakers won't last long. Don't miss out like last time. Don't get shut out. Go to gettrumpsneakers.com to get your gold Trump sneakers. That's gettrumpsneakers.com. It's an easy URL to remember. That's gettrumpsneakers.com. See gettrumpsneakers.com for details. Trump sneakers are not intended for investment purposes. Hurry, go now to gettrumpsneakers.com. That's gettrumpsneakers.com.
All right, just did it. Take my Balance of Nature early today. 6 capsules. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. That's what you need to provide your heart, your body, and your mind with some whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, and your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. And it's so easy to open up those individual capsules and dust them over a salad or mix them into a juice drink or warm water. That's how I do it. It makes you feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. So order your fruits and veggie supplements today. Call 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. That number again, 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word HEDGE to $98.98.98. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text HEDGE to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
AM 560, The Answer.
Ann and Amy, they call themselves Lipstick and the Pig, this comedy duo. Happens to be the governors of Michigan and Illinois, Lipstick and the Pig. And they've got a new bit that they posted.
Oh, really?
JB,
Gretchen,
did you know Kamala Harris is going to lower costs for working people?
but did you know that Kamala Harris is going to restore Roe?
But did you know she'll work to onshore supply chains?
But did you know that she's going to create good paying jobs for working families?
But did you know she'll fight for every person so they can get ahead?
Well played, Gretchen. Well played.
Ew.
To really
That-
appreciate the comedic sensibility, you have to view it because with each back and forth, they're in a different team uniform, professional and college from their respective states. I mean, Lipstick and the Pig, one of the great comedy duos. George and Gracie, Burns and Allen have nothing on Lipstick and the Pig. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Keep it coming.
Oh, I'm watching it right now. Oh, this is so cringe. Oh, God.
Okay. Coming up at 8:38, we're going to talk to a gentleman who attended the Trump's triumphant return to Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday. Jarman Brooks, attendee to the Butler rally at 8:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
51 degrees, 8:30 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Both former President Trump and President Biden are set to speak today on the one-year anniversary of the Hamas terror attacks on Israel. FEMA's administrator says the agency is ready, she says, for Hurricane Milton, set to slam Florida this week. Former President Donald Trump is revealing brand new details about the aftermath of the first assassination attempt against him back in July. He spoke to Fox's Laura Ingraham in Butler, Pennsylvania.
The hospital was great, and I didn't realize this. I never knew they did. When a president goes to an area, they close a hospital in its entirety. It's ready for exactly this. I didn't know they did that, but they did.
The rest of Laura Ingraham's interview with the former president, Donald Trump, will air tonight on Fox. Democrat vice presidential nominee Tim Walz isn't saying how Israel should respond to last week's missile attack by Iran. In an interview on Fox News Sunday, Walz was pressed on whether Israel has a right to defend itself.
Specific operations will be dealt with at the time, but being very clear on this, Iran, there was consequences for what they do. That's what's happening right now. Israel's right to defend itself is not in question.
Walz would not say whether Israel should retaliate by striking Iranian nuclear facilities or oil fields. The Bears have won back-to-back games. They beat the Carolina and the Panthers 36-10 at Soldier Field.
Quarterback was clean, took one sack, and had a quarterback rating of 126. And that's good quarterbacking. It just is. It's finding the completions, taking the shots down the field. We wanted to get our receivers, involved today, and we did that.
Head coach Matt Eberflus, Chicago will face Jacksonville Week 6 in London. An arrest was made after one person was stabbed at Soldier Field after the Bears game Sunday afternoon. That victim rushed to Northwestern Hospital in good condition. A 56-year-old man was struck by a car and killed riding his bike in Joliet Sunday morning around 2:45 a.m. in the 200 block of South Larkin. Mayor Brandon Johnson is set to announce today 7 new appointments to the Chicago Board of Education. It all comes after members of the current board resigned en masse on Friday. On Sunday, candidates running for the elected hybrid school board spoke out against the mayor's pressure tactics, including candidate Ellen Rosenfeld.
It's clear that Mayor Johnson will not wait for Chicagoans to place their vote for an elected school board. We must elect candidates who are independent, of the mayor's office and special interest.
38 of 50 city council members signed a letter over the weekend demanding hearings this month before any appointments of any new school board members. The News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. 8:34 is our time, and we'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, Trinity School of Natural Health, and by Blue Star Security.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
You know, I couldn't stop talking about it to my family and friends. My knees are my trouble spot. But for me to tell them now that I'm doing so much better, they were amazed, and I've been amazed.
QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies. Yes, it is amazing how these non-surgical treatments deliver joint pain relief for patients like Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor.
Each week, I just started noticing that I could sleep and not have pain. I could play pickleball. I could do a CrossFit exercise routine.
QC Kinetics revitalizes your joints so you can move again without the pain pills or invasive surgery.
You know, I'm 60 years old and I want to stay competitive as long as I can. And QC has allowed me to do that. They did me right and really made a difference in my life.
Book your free consultation with QC Kinetics today and experience the difference for yourself.
I like to go, move, move, move.
QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased.
My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Have you lost Illinois Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Norton 360. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, while multi-factor authentication is another step to staying cyber safe. Norton 360 offers the cyber protection you need to protect yourself from today's sophisticated threats. Get up to 58% off at norton.com/secure. Kennedy right now is at 2 hours from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour and 20 from 390 through the old post office, and it is tough sledding through the avenues. 40 minutes in on the Stevenson from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Roadwork causing unbelievable delays southbound DuSable Lakeshore Drive between Wilson and North Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and a high of 68. We're seeing tonight clear and a low of 49. And tomorrow sunshine and pleasant, high of 72. Want to let you know that we just received word that the Ohio feeder ramp is entirely shut down due to a protest. It's eastbound right at the Kennedy. We'll keep our eyes on that for you. Right now, protesters are on the Ohio feeder ramp and police are shutting it down. It's 50 at O'Hare and 53 at Midway. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The boss has weighed in on the 2024 election. I guess I should be more specific. There's a lot of people who go by the name The Boss.
A lot of people think they're the boss, too.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
The musical artist I'm talking about, the spry 75-year-old Bruce Springsteen. And I love the staging. I mean, he's a known lefty, like most in entertainment. So, I mean, I don't know why this is getting such attention. But I guess because he's Bob Dylan. He's sort of the voice of his generation of the Dirty Jobs set because of the Born in the USA album. Not really, but that's how they present him. The staging of this endorsement video he cut is at the local lunch counter, in a blue-collar workaday town. Yeah, I'm sure, where Bruce Springsteen lives. Uh-huh.
I'm supporting Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president and opposing Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Here's why. We are shortly coming upon one of the most consequential elections in our nation's history. Perhaps not since the Civil War has this great country felt as politically, spiritually, and emotionally divided as it does then at this moment. It doesn't have to be this way. The common values, the shared stories that make us a great and united nation are waiting to be rediscovered and retold once again. Now that will take time, hard work, intelligence, faith, and women and men with the national good guiding their hearts. America's the most powerful nation on earth, not just because of her overwhelming military strength or economic power, but because of what she stands for, what she means, what she believes in. Freedom, social justice, equal opportunity, the right to be and love who you want. These are the things that make America great. Donald Trump is the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. His disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president ever again. He doesn't understand the meaning of this country its history, or what it means to be deeply American. On the other hand, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are committed to a vision of this country that respects and includes everyone, regardless of class, religion, race, your political point of view, or sexual identity. And they want to grow our economy in a way that benefits all, not just a few like me on top.
Yeah,
insufferable. Remember, he's Chris Christie's favorite musician.
Plain spoken Bruce Springsteen, a la Wilford Brimley. It's about where he is today. Although, if you think I have a bad haircut, you should see 75-year-old Bruce Springsteen's hair these days. He looks like it looks like a haircut like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers might have.
It's a close competition, Dan, because I don't know where you're going with this thing.
Well, I know. Both Bruce and I are confused
Just
about our
free-flowing.
hairstyles. But anyway.
Gonna let it grow until hurricanes stop coming?
Well, I'll see your Bruce Springsteen, and I'll raise you an Elon Musk, who, as advertised, joined Trump on stage for his triumphant return to Butler, Pennsylvania, and quite the turnout there was. So, gosh, Bruce Springsteen alone at the phony local diner lunch counter, or Donald Trump in front of throngs of Pennsylvanians, tens of thousands of Pennsylvanians, to hear Trump and Elon Musk. Here's Musk's comparison contrast.
You know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face.
Fight, fight, fight! You sounded like that Jocko from the Energizer battery commercials. Fight, fight,
Oh,
fight!
you forget that because we don't hear his voice a ton, so when he does talk, I forget that he has an accent.
Well,
from here.
With all apologies to Glory Days, They'll Pass You By, Bruce Springsteen, Musk had a summation of what's at stake at this election, too.
This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment.
And in addition to all that, and Trump noted it when he introduced Musk, what he has done for the those afflicted by the devastation wrought by Hurricane Helene in the Southeast, particularly North Carolina, what he's doing versus Mr. Man of the People, Bruce Springsteen, for example. But he tweeted, too, I mean, just what is just unnerving about the federal response. It's bad enough that the federal government dilly-dallies while people our lives are under threat. It's even worse when they prevent private actors who are trying to help the situation from being helpful. Musk tweeted over the weekend, SpaceX engineers are trying to deliver Starlink terminals and supplies to devastated areas in North Carolina right now, and FEMA is both failing to help and won't let others help. This is unconscionable. They just took this video a few hours ago where you can see the level of devastation, the roads, houses, electricity, water supply, ground internet connections completely destroyed, and FEMA wouldn't let them land to deliver critical supplies. My blood is boiling, writes Musk on X. And this is confirmed by Corey Mills, the congressman from Florida, who's saying, the FEMA assets that are on site, a lot of people who are disconnected, as Musk is recounting, have no idea where they are, no idea how to access them. But his Starlink setups, if they got down there, then people could get access to information, could get access online, and then make their way to resources, or at least communicate about where they are if they're unable to make their way to resources and need rescue. I mean, it's just utter incompetence or worse. Robert in Lisle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, let's see. Bruce Springsteen forgot about the sanctity of life and his promotion of the spiritual world, who doesn't include God, really, when you think about it. There's a thing that's called invincible ignorance. That means people who think they know what they know when it's really darkness. These people, and that's a good example of what he is, invincible ignorance. Everybody should look up that term because it's a good one. It's when people basically, the difference between stupidity is you know something and you do it. Ignorance is when you do something you don't have any idea what you're doing. And this is exactly an example of that.
Thanks for the call, Robert. And as Einstein observed, the difference between stupidity and genius is genius has its limits. Lee in Hammond, Indiana.
Hey, guys. I could care less what a bunch of has-been celebrities, who they promote, like Oprah. If the sad thing about this whole thing is that people that pay attention to these kind of people, they vote. And the fact that people actually let people like that influence their vote tells you that there's way too many people voting that shouldn't be voting.
Thanks for the call, Lee. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. I mean, it's distressing, and the reaction from all of these institutions that are supposed to be the mediating institutions is telling, once again, not a surprise. These are the customary people and organizations acting in their customary way, but just to put an exclamation point on it, a nice comparison that was posted on X, because where else can you post things like this? The comparison of New York Times coverage on day 5 after Hurricane Katrina as compared to New York Times coverage on day 5 after Hurricane Helene. Day 5, it was wall-to-wall Katrina. Mm-hmm. Day 5 after Helene, it's a return to January 6th.
Oh, of course, yes.
The real threats to our democracy.
The Democrats, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, do not care about poor white people that live in North Carolina or northern Georgia or South Carolina. They don't care. Or Tennessee. Dolly Parton stepping up. She donated $1 million of her own money and then another $1 million from her foundation. It's just sad to see that they're not putting Americans first. And people are hurting. They are begging for help.
Where's the help? There's people up there with no food, no water, no power, no internet, no signals, elderly people.
And FEMA arrived, 48 hours ago?
Well, and the interest
what kind of response is that? That's not a response.
The crowding out of private actors, private initiative is twofold. One, we discussed last week, is this protecting preferred vendors, right? There's money in this, and there are federal contracts associated with disaster relief. So they have to play disaster relief theater until their preferred vendors get the necessary supplies to make sure that they get paid, because they're the preferred vendors. They're the inside people. And the outside people who may have gotten there first may have the same research supply. Well, you're not allowed this. We have established control here. You're not allowed. And so we're going to do things on our terms, because the message is you live and or die by the government. So you better get on board. And that's certainly one aspect of it. Kevin in Oak Lawn.
Hey, Dan, this is Kevin, formerly of Oak Lawn. I moved down to Camden, Tennessee, thankfully.
There you go.
Hey, I wanted to I'm the guy who emails you a lot.
You're that guy.
Okay. I am that guy. Everyone's got to have a guy. and Bruce Springsteen saying how Kamala Harris is for freedom and for peace and for fighting crime when she was bailing out criminals, and she's against the First and Second Amendment and all the good stuff that Springsteen says it takes intelligence, and all it takes is a few minutes to look this stuff up. So if he had any intelligence, he'd be able to figure this out himself. I actually used to be a huge Springsteen fan.
Yeah, I get it. With people in entertainment, you have to sort of separate their talent from their politics because most, a lot of them are very talented and they offer great, artistry, but they're, morons when it comes to adult life in a free society. I mean, most of them didn't go to school for one point.
Right.
Not that going to school these days matters as much as it used to, but still. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, another thing about Bruce Springsteen, he used to, I don't know about anymore, get a big subsidy because he owns a big plot of farmland in a subsidy to the tune of $250,000 plus a year. A friend of mine who's a member of the NRA told me that he found out that 60% of NRA members are either not registered to vote or do not vote, and that's a big problem, especially given the amount of hunters that you have in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks for the call, Greg. There was a piece that was, or a survey that was done by Vote for America. This was reported back in August, not long ago. 10 million hunters and gun owners in the United States not registered to vote. 10 million. Wow. Now put this into the battleground states.
Yeah.
States with the most sportsmen not yet registered to vote. This is as of late August. Pennsylvania, 515,000. Roughly 500,000 in Georgia, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, Virginia, Wisconsin. The states with the fewest number of unregistered sportsmen and women are Arizona, Nevada, and Montana. But still, Arizona, 133,000. Nevada, almost 60,000. Montana, of all places, more than 50,000. I mean, you want to it's another cohort. You can carve up this electorate, the national electorate, all kinds of ways. But this is an important one. Not that every sportsman is conservative or is Republican, but, in terms of sort of winning on scaling it, that you're going to win 6, 7, maybe 8 out of 10 in some states, I suspect. So you can, this is a volume play for the Republican Party. 10 million hunters, 515,000 in Pennsylvania. You're telling me if 500,000 sportsmen in Pennsylvania were registered to vote, that wouldn't be a walk for Trump? Of course it would be. Mm-hmm. So it's a great point that Greg brings up. If there's an NRA member or just a sportsman in your life, it's an odd thing to say given how affiliated they are with Second Amendment rights, generally speaking, but make sure they're registered.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The big wireless companies want you to overpay for data that you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that with Pure Talk. Well, you get to choose how much data that you actually want. And for $25 a month, you'll get unlimited talk, unlimited text. You're going to get mobile hotspot, 5 gigs of data. Go with Pure Talk, and you get to choose how much data you actually want. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and if you do it now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month from Pure Talk.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. As the leader in identity theft protection, LifeLock reminds you to update your passwords. Using the same password across multiple accounts makes you vulnerable to cyber criminals. Updating your passwords is only one way to help protect yourself. For comprehensive identity theft protection, you need LifeLock. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes issues that arise. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, another day of broadcast excellence. Thanks, of course, to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. And partner getting a lot of text messages on our Turnkey Deborah text line. People are concerned about your house and wishing you well.
I'm concerned about my house, too. We'll see.
Is it boarded up?
It's
sandbagged?
It's being, I'm getting everything moved out, I'll tell you that right now, and staged somewhere else best we can. So, we'll see, but it's not looking good.
Did you move your car at least to higher
Yeah, all
ground?
that stuff will be, everything that's not nailed down is going to be moved out, but,
You know
we'll
what
see.
the good news is? You have your passport with you. Or too soon?
Yeah, that's true. So I can flee the country and go live that life in South America I've talked about for so long.
All right, today we're going to have beautiful sunshine, a high of 67 degrees and then 80 degrees by Friday. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Milton is getting mightier. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's quickly grown to just shy